Imagine living each day without noise, not just the noise around you, but the noise inside your head. The stress, the pressure, the endless chatter of what's next, what's missing, what might go wrong. What if silence wasn't something empty, but something powerful? What if silence could actually become your superpower? But let's be honest, how often do you truly feel peace? Not just the absence of sound, but the kind of deep, grounded stillness where nothing feels urgent and everything makes sense. Most people live in reaction, always busy, always scrolling, always needing something more. They fear silence because silence forces them to face themselves. Here's the truth. Enjoying your life in silence is not about escaping the world. It's about mastering your inner world. Stoicism teaches that the calmest mind is the strongest one. That peace doesn't come from perfect circumstances. It comes from building unshakable habits that protect your clarity, protect your energy, and bring your focus back to what actually matters. Today, you're going to learn the habits that help you do exactly that. These are not just soft ideas. These are real practices used by the most disciplined minds in history. Stoic thinkers who found freedom not in noise, but in quiet control. So prepare yourself, because after this video, silence won't scare you anymore. It will guide you. Before we begin, make a promise to yourself. Write in the comments, "Starting today, I protect my peace. I am Stoic." It's not just a sentence, it's a declaration. And every time you say it, you are reminding yourself that real strength doesn't shout. Real strength is still. So write it down now, and let's begin. Number 1. Practice voluntary word fasting. Be quiet on purpose. That's the practice. That's the challenge. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you want to listen deeply. In a world that rewards those who speak first, shout loudest, and post the most, choosing silence is one of the most rebellious and powerful habits you can build. But let's be honest. How many words are spoken in a day that truly matter? How often do you talk just to fill the space, to escape discomfort, to avoid reflection? It happens more than we care to admit, and every unnecessary word adds a layer of noise over your mind. Voluntary word fasting is simple. Choose a morning, an afternoon, or even a full day to speak only when absolutely necessary. No small talk, no opinions that weren't asked for, no filling the air with sounds that serve no purpose. You're not being rude. You're training yourself to master your impulses. This isn't about being silent forever. It's about reclaiming your voice by understanding when not to use it. Just like Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort, sleeping on hard floors, walking barefoot, eating plain food. To become mentally stronger, voluntary silence is a form of mental sharpening. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, spoke less and wrote more. He understood that clarity doesn't come from constant speaking. It comes from thinking, from sitting with your own thoughts long enough that you begin to see what's real and what's just noise. His meditations weren't public speeches, they were quiet conversations with himself. And that's the point of this habit. To learn how to be with yourself again. To stop outsourcing your thinking to others. To stop responding to every question, every comment, every distraction. You might be surprised at what happens. The moment you stop talking, the world gets louder. Not outside, inside. You hear your own mind. You hear your anxieties. You hear your impatience. All the emotions you've been avoiding with conversation start to bubble up. And this is where the real work begins. Can you sit with it? Can you feel the tension of wanting to jump in, to prove your point, to fill the silence, and still choose not to? That is strength. That is Stoic. In those quiet hours, you will notice more. People's expressions, their tone, the pauses between their words. You begin to see what you missed before when you were too busy planning your next sentence. Silence opens your eyes. It sharpens your attention. When you speak again, it will be with purpose. Your words will land differently, not because they're louder, but because they are fewer, clearer, and born from thought, not impulse. You'll stop saying things you regret. You'll stop talking yourself into anxiety. You'll stop wasting energy on opinions that don't move your life forward. Here's how to start. Choose one morning a week. Wake up and decide, today I will speak only when it is useful or necessary. Tell your family or co-workers if needed, then stay committed. If you catch yourself speaking without intent, pause, take a breath, return to the fast. Use that time to journal, observe, think, reflect, go for a walk without headphones. Listen to the sound of your thoughts without trying to change them. Let your mind untangle itself naturally. By noon or by evening, you'll feel something rare, mental clarity. The fog lifts. The distractions lose their grip. You'll feel calmer, more present, more in control. And over time, you'll carry that silence with you, even when you do speak. Your words will feel lighter, your presence stronger. People will notice, not because you say more, but because when you do speak, it means something. Silence doesn't mean absence. Silence means power that is no longer wasted. So the next time you feel the urge to speak just to fill the air, stop. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this useful? Or am I afraid of the quiet? Because once you become comfortable with silence, you stop fearing yourself. And that, more than anything, is freedom. Number 2, perform the daily dismissal. At the end of the day, the mind doesn't always rest. The body might be in bed, the lights might be off, but the courtroom in your head is still in session. Thoughts rise like witnesses. Regret takes the stand. Guilt cross-examines. Old arguments replay like evidence being rehashed. And before you know it, you're tossing, turning, revisiting things that have already happened. Things that can't be changed. But what if you could end that noise with a single word? What if, like a Stoic judge, you could look each thought in the eye and simply say, dismissed? That's what the daily dismissal is all about. It's a habit, a ritual, a quiet mental act where before you go to sleep, you review what your mind is offering, and then you decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Most of it doesn't. This is not denial. This is discipline. You are not your thoughts. That's one of the hardest truths for people to accept. But Stoicism teaches that thoughts are not orders. They are just suggestions. And just like a courtroom judge, you have the authority to accept or dismiss them. Most people don't realize they have this power. They argue with every thought. They get pulled into every emotional reaction. They rehearse every possible scenario, trying to prepare for the future by obsessing over the past. But Epictetus taught his students to pause, to recognize that not every thought deserves a hearing. Not every opinion is useful. Not every emotion is justified. Just because something feels loud doesn't mean it's true. That's where this ritual comes in. It takes just 5 minutes, but it can change the quality of your entire night and your next day. Here's how you do it. At the end of your day, before you fall asleep, sit for a moment in silence. No phone, no scrolling, no distractions. Just be with your mind. Let it speak. Let the thoughts rise up like court cases being filed. You might hear, "I shouldn't have said that. Why did they ignore my message?" I didn't do enough today. I'll probably fail tomorrow. This always happens to me. Let it come. Then mentally say one word: dismissed. Say it like a judge banging the gavel. Say it with calm authority. No anger, no struggle, just release. Thought: I should have done more. Response: dismissed. Thought: they didn't appreciate me. Response: dismissed. Thought: what if I fail tomorrow? Response: dismissed. This doesn't mean the thoughts will never come back, but it does mean they won't own your night. You're no longer giving them space to build stories, feed anxieties, or control your peace. You've acknowledged them, and you've chosen to move on. There is power in naming things. When you say dismissed, you're not suppressing the thought. You're labeling it as unworthy of further energy. You are choosing to rest. You are choosing to carry less. That choice, over time, builds a quiet kind of inner strength. The next morning, you'll wake up lighter. Not because your life is perfect, but because your mind has been trained to release what doesn't serve it. You've emptied the mental courtroom before it had a chance to take over your dreams. You've shown your mind who's in charge. You are not a prisoner of your thoughts. You are their judge. So tonight, as you lie in bed and your mind begins to buzz, don't argue. Don't spiral. Just listen quietly. And when the complaints, the self-pity, the unnecessary worries start to speak, smile gently and say, dismissed. That one word could be the difference between a restless mind and a peaceful one. Use it, train with it, make it part of who you are. Because peace isn't found in silence alone. Peace is found in knowing what to let go of, so the silence can finally speak. Number 3, whisperless observation of others. Watch people, but don't narrate. Don't explain. Don't judge. Don't label. Just observe. Without commentary. Without whispering in your own mind what they might be thinking, what they should have done, or what you would have done differently. Most people don't realize it, but they talk constantly, not just with their mouth, but with their mind. Silent judgments, quick assumptions, tiny stories being written about others in real time, without a pause. He's rude. She's always late. They don't care. The mind becomes a running narrator, turning every interaction into a mini soap opera. But Stoicism teaches us something radical. The wisest thing you can do in the presence of others is say nothing, not just out loud, but internally. The practice is simple but powerful. Whisperless observation. That means watching people in complete internal silence. When someone is speaking, don't prepare your answer while they talk. Don't guess their motives. Just listen. Watch their tone, their hands, their eyes, their breath. When someone walks past you, resist the urge to compare or judge. Don't wonder where they're going or what they're wearing. Just observe without coloring the moment with thought. This is not about being passive. It's about training yourself to respond, not react. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to approach others without anger or surprise. That didn't mean he trusted blindly. It meant he trained his perception. He knew that judgments cloud clarity. He knew that opinions get in the way of truth. He knew that when the mind starts whispering, it stops seeing. This habit doesn't just create stillness, it sharpens empathy. Because when you stop narrating someone's behavior, you start seeing their humanity. You see struggle in a raised voice. You see insecurity behind arrogance. You see distraction in silence. You stop trying to control the moment and start learning from it. Here's the challenge. Go 1 full hour today in complete internal silence while observing others. Don't describe anything. Don't predict. Don't analyze. Just see. Be present. Let them be who they are, without needing to add a single mental word. At first, it will feel strange. You'll notice how often the mind wants to jump in. It wants to evaluate, fix, correct, defend. That's the ego trying to stay in control, but the more you resist the urge, the quieter the ego becomes. And in that quiet, something else rises. Understanding. You begin to notice things you never saw before. A tremble in a voice, a tiredness behind a smile, a strength in someone's eyes. You stop living in mental fiction and start connecting to real presence. It also changes how you show up in conflict. Instead of rushing to correct or argue, you pause. You listen longer. You speak less. And when you do speak, your words come from calm, not pride. Think about it. How many problems in your life have come not from what others said or did, but from the story you told yourself about it? The story the mind whispered in the background, growing louder until it became your truth. Whisperless observation protects you from that trap. It's a mental detox, a break from the constant labeling that builds walls between you and the world. So today, whether you're in a meeting, walking down the street, or sitting across from a loved one, try this. Observe them in silence. No story, no opinion, just presence. And when your mind starts whispering, gently say, "Not now," because true strength is not about speaking more or knowing everything. It's about seeing clearly, without the noise. Number 4. Wake before the world without input. Wake up, not to the world, but to yourself. Not to headlines, notifications, voices, or demands. Just to your breath, to your heartbeat, to your thoughts, unfiltered. Before the noise starts, before the rush begins. That space, that sacred silent space, is where your day begins to shape itself. This isn't about waking up early just to check more things off a to-do list. This is about waking up without input. No phone, no emails, no news, no music, nothing external. Just 30 minutes of quiet. Of nothing entering your mind that didn't start from within. Because the truth is, most people don't wake up, they react awake. The alarm rings, and within seconds they're drowning in the outside world. Scrolling, reading, comparing, consuming. The mind is hijacked before it ever had a chance to breathe on its own. Stoics did the opposite. They guarded their mornings like a fortress. Marcus Aurelius began each day reminding himself of what he could control, what he would face, and how he would act with virtue. He didn't wake up to escape into distractions. He woke up to return to himself. This habit is simple. When you open your eyes, don't reach for anything. Don't fill the silence. Sit in it, stand in it, move in it. Let the day come to you slowly, without artificial stimulation. You'll feel a pull at first, a need to check, a fear of missing something. That pull is the addiction to noise. Let it pass. In that silence, you'll notice things. Your thoughts before the world interrupts them. Your body before it stiffens with tension. Your mind before it begins solving problems. This is the cleanest version of you. Untainted, unburdened, clear. And it's in that clarity that strength is built. When you begin your day with chaos, your nervous system stays on edge for hours. But if you begin with silence, that calm stays with you. It becomes a shield. So when stress shows up later, it doesn't rattle you. You've already anchored yourself in stillness. Try this tomorrow. Wake up 30 minutes earlier than usual. No phone, no noise, no lights if you can help it. Just sit or stretch or write or sip something warm in stillness. Let the world stay asleep while you wake up. No one is pulling at you. No one is asking anything of you. There's just you, your breath, and the beginning of the day. And that's enough. You are not missing out by avoiding input. You are reclaiming space. Space to think, to reflect, to choose who you want to be before the world tells you who you should be. This silence doesn't last forever, but it leaves a mark. It teaches your mind that it doesn't need noise to feel alive. It teaches your soul that peace can be the default, not panic. It reminds you that you can start the day not with reaction, but with readiness. So tomorrow, before the world can touch you, don't let it. Wake before the world, and wake without it. Because that's how you remember who you are, before the noise makes you forget. Number 5. The one question day starter. Before the world asks anything of you, ask something of yourself. But not just any question. A question that sharpens you, grounds you, prepares you. One clear, honest question that sets the tone for everything that comes next. Forget the to-do list for now. Forget productivity hacks and checkboxes. This isn't about doing more. It's about seeing clearer, thinking better, starting with intention, not urgency. Because clarity, real clarity, doesn't come from more action. It comes from better questions. The Stoics understood this. They didn't rush into their day. They entered it like a warrior entering battle, with a calm, focused mind and a plan. And that plan began with a question. Seneca often reflected in writing. Epictetus prompted his students with questions during training. Marcus Aurelius asked himself every morning, "What can I expect today?" His answer was always the same: conflict, misunderstanding, challenge. And yet, he used that knowledge not to complain, but to prepare. This habit is your invitation to do the same. Every silent morning, as you sit in stillness, before noise enters, before movement begins, ask yourself one powerful question. Not 10, not a list, just one. It could be, what external event today could test my peace, and how will I stay rooted? Or, if I lose my temper today, what will it cost me? Or, what kind of person do I want to be when no one is watching? The question doesn't have to be complex, but it must be true. It must pierce your assumptions and bring your mind back to center. Because the goal is not to answer quickly. The goal is to reflect slowly. To begin the day not as a robot of routine, but as a thinker, a strategist, a stoic. That one question becomes your compass. It lives in the background of your day like a quiet hum. When stress shows up, the question returns. When ego tries to hijack you, the question reminds. When impatience sneaks in, the question confronts. It is your internal anchor. Let's say your question for the day is, what external event could test my peace, and how will I stay rooted? Now you walk into your day with eyes open. You know traffic might test you. A comment might annoy you. A delay might shake your rhythm. But because you anticipated it, you meet it with grace, not reaction. You chose your posture in advance. That's what this habit does. It trains your inner stance. It makes you proactive, not reactive. And here's the key. Don't rush to answer the question. Sit with it. Let it unfold. Write about it if you want. Speak it softly if that helps. But resist the urge to fix it like a problem. Just let it guide you like a lamp in the fog. When the world later tries to make you forget who you are, when the noise rises, when urgency shouts, your question remains, like a whisper that cuts through the chaos. And at the end of the day, when you return to silence, you'll know whether you lived the answer or not. You don't need 20 habits to be strong. You don't need a perfect morning routine. You need one moment of clarity, one moment of stillness, one question that matters, asked with honesty, carried with intention. Start your day there and watch how everything else starts to shift. Number 6. Silent meals without distraction. Eat, just eat. Not scroll, not talk, not watch, not read. Just sit with your meal and let it be what it is. A moment of presence, a moment of discipline, a moment of silence. In today's world, meals have become background noise. Something done while doing something else. Breakfast with emails, lunch with podcasts, dinner with TV. Even when we eat with others, we often eat with our minds elsewhere, already racing to the next thing. But the Stoics didn't see meals this way. To them, eating was not just about sustenance. It was about practice. It was about slowing down, training attention, observing cravings, learning restraint. Food was fuel, but also feedback. Seneca reminded himself often that luxury wasn't necessary, that plain food, eaten with awareness, was more valuable than a feast eaten with distraction. Marcus Aurelius reflected on how even simple bread and olives could teach contentment. The point wasn't the food. The point was how you showed up to eat it. Here's the habit. Choose one meal per day, any meal, and eat it in complete silence. No devices, no conversations, no multitasking, just you and the plate in front of you. Before you even take the first bite, pause. Look at the meal. Really look. Think about where it came from. The soil that grew the vegetables, the hands that harvested, the transport, the preparation, the quiet chain of effort that brought this food to your table. Now chew, slowly. Notice the taste, the texture, the temperature. Pay attention to when you swallow. Feel the moment your body receives nourishment. Stay with it. This isn't about turning food into a ceremony. It's about reclaiming something ordinary and making it sacred again. It's about training your mind to stay in one place, even when the habit is to wander. You'll feel resistance at first, a twitch to reach for your phone, an itch to turn on music, a pull to distract yourself. That's the discomfort of stillness showing up again. Let it come, then let it pass. In this silence, gratitude grows. Not the forced kind, the real kind, the kind that sneaks up on you when you realize how much effort went into a bowl of rice, how simple it is to be fed, how often you take that for granted. This is mindfulness without marketing, stillness without effort. It's a training ground. Because if you can stay present during a meal, you can stay present during a meeting, during an argument, during a crisis. You're teaching your nervous system that it's safe to be here, just here, not in the past, not in the future, but in this exact moment, doing one thing with full attention. This is not just about eating, this is about returning to yourself. Because when you eat in silence, something else happens. The noise inside settles too. The thoughts slow down, the breath evens out. You begin to notice the mental hunger you've been carrying. Hunger for stimulation, for escape, for constant motion. And you realize you don't need to feed that hunger. You just need to stop feeding the distractions. One silent meal a day. That's all it takes. And soon, that meal becomes an anchor, a moment in your day where everything stops, where the world fades out. And you remember that peace doesn't have to be found, it just has to be allowed. So tomorrow, when you sit down to eat, don't reach for your phone, reach for your presence, and let silence feed you more than food ever could. Number 7. Choose one phrase to carry in silence all day. Let the world speak, let it rush, let it argue, let it scroll. You'll carry something quieter, something stronger. A single phrase, small, invisible, but powerful, whispered only in your mind, repeated not for others to hear, but for you to remember. This is one of the simplest Stoic habits, but also one of the most transformative. Every morning, before stepping into the noise of life, choose one phrase, a sentence, a truth, a reminder. It doesn't need to be long, it doesn't need to be clever, it just needs to be steady, like a lighthouse in a storm. Maybe it's, let it go. I have all I need. I cannot control them. I respond with calm. Events don't disturb me, only my judgment about them. Pick it, sit with it, then carry it with you. Don't say it out loud. Don't wear it like a slogan. Just hold it silently throughout the day. Repeat it when stress hits. Whisper it when anger stirs. Return to it when things feel unfair, uncertain, or overwhelming. This phrase becomes your inner shield, your compass. While others are pushed around by every comment, every inconvenience, every headline, you stay grounded, because you're not just reacting anymore. You're choosing, you're remembering. The Stoics didn't try to control the outside world. They trained their inner world. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but he ruled himself first. That's why he wrote in his journal, not to impress, but to remind, to sharpen his mind with repetition, to prepare for the day before it tested him. You're doing the same with this habit. When someone cuts you off in traffic, let it go. When your plans fall apart, I am not disturbed by events. When anxiety creeps in, I have all I need. The phrase becomes your anchor. And here's the beauty. No one has to know. While others are busy trying to look calm, you are calm, quietly, consistently, not because life is perfect, but because your mind is trained to return to center. Over time, this phrase becomes more than a thought. It becomes a part of you. It reshapes how you speak, how you breathe, how you hold yourself in hard moments. And when people ask how you stay so steady, you won't need to explain. You'll just smile, because the strength you've built is silent. Start this tomorrow. Before the world wakes, choose your phrase. Write it down if it helps. Then carry it like a quiet ember in your chest all day long. Let others drift. You stay rooted, because true Stoic power doesn't shout, it whispers. And that whisper, when chosen with care, can carry you through anything. Number 8. Practice silent comparison with nature, not people. Stop measuring your life against noise, against applause, against the carefully curated highlight reels of other people. The Stoics knew the danger of comparison, not because it's unnatural to compare, but because it's so often done in the wrong direction. Instead of comparing yourself to people's loud successes, compare yourself to something quieter, something honest, something that doesn't care if it's seen or praised. Compare yourself to nature. Sit with a tree, stand beside a mountain, watch a river, listen to the wind. They don't compete. They don't strive to impress. They don't explain themselves. The tree grows at its own pace. The mountain doesn't apologize for being still. The river flows without asking permission. This is what the Stoics meant by harmony with nature, not just obeying the laws of the world, but learning from them. Learning that true greatness doesn't shout, it doesn't post, it doesn't try to be anything other than what it is. So the next time you feel behind, unworthy, or invisible, don't look at people. Look at a stone, a cloud, a field of grass. This is what we call silent comparison. It's not a denial of your ambition. It's a redirection of your perspective. You stop asking, "Why am I not like them?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this quiet strength in front of me?" Sit with a tree. Watch how it bends with the wind, but never breaks. Watch how it grows without asking for praise. Watch how it provides shade, fruit, oxygen, without ever needing applause. That's success. Measured not in noise, but in presence, not in recognition, but in resilience, not in attention, but in alignment. Seneca warned against being dragged into the madness of public admiration. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that fame is nothing but noise blowing in from other people's mouths. And yet, how often do we chase that noise? How often do we look at someone else's spotlight and forget our own roots? But when you compare yourself to nature, something shifts. You begin to understand that becoming is more powerful than arriving. That depth is more important than display. Practice this. Take 10 minutes each day. Go outside if you can. If not, sit by a window. Look, not for entertainment, but for instruction. What does this tree teach me? What does the sky remind me of? How does this silence make me feel more myself? You'll find that the anxiety fades, the rush slows, the craving for validation begins to dissolve. Because you found a new metric, a new mirror, one that reflects back your quiet worth instead of your public image. Comparison, when directed at the wrong things, breeds insecurity, but comparison directed at the right things, at nature, at stillness, at integrity, breeds wisdom. So tomorrow, when you catch yourself comparing your life to someone else's timeline or success, stop. Breathe. Look out the window. Let the tree remind you, you're already growing. Let the river remind you, you're allowed to flow. Let the mountain remind you, stillness is not failure, it's power. That's silent comparison. No pressure, no jealousy, no noise, just reflection, just truth, just peace. Number 9. Turn emotional outbursts into inner dialogues. Hold your tongue, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Not to suppress, but to understand. The next time anger rises, or the urge to lash out surges through you, don't explode outward. Turn the volume inward. Make the noise go quiet, not by ignoring it, but by listening to it first, in silence. This is the Stoic art of redirection, and it's one of the most powerful habits you'll ever build. Epictetus didn't tell his students to be emotionless. He taught them to pause, to investigate, to respond like philosophers, not like fire alarms. When something hurt, he didn't say, "Get over it." He said, "Let's look at that. Let's talk to it." You can do the same. When the frustration builds, when someone disrespects you, when plans collapse, when envy creeps in, don't vent, don't post, don't snap. Go inward. Ask one simple question. What is this emotion trying to protect? Is it pride? Is it fear? Is it old pain disguised as anger? Most people mistake silence for weakness, but a Stoic sees it as strategy. Instead of reacting, You're retreating inward to sort the mess before you unleash it on the world. You're turning the storm into a conversation. Sit quietly. Breathe. Let the emotion speak to you. Say internally, I feel anger. What's under it? I feel hurt. Who is this really about? I feel jealous. What need is unmet in me? Speak to yourself the way Epictetus would speak to a struggling student. Calm, firm, clear, without judgment, without drama. Just gentle inspection. And here's the truth. The moment you give that feeling space to breathe inside, it starts to dissolve. Because so much of our emotional chaos comes from the fact that we don't let it speak privately, so it starts screaming publicly. It shows up in sharp words, in broken relationships, in regret. But when you speak to it silently, when you witness it instead of becoming it, something changes. You don't push it down. You escort it out quietly. This is not repression. This is maturity. It's choosing not to let your lowest moment define your loudest voice. Think of how many times you've said something you didn't mean just because you reacted too fast. Think of how many apologies began with words that never needed to be spoken. Stoicism helps you cut that chain before it starts. Not by avoiding emotion, but by mastering the art of private processing. This isn't easy. In the heat of the moment, silence feels like weakness. Speaking feels like power. But that's the illusion. Real strength is choosing not to feed the flame. Real discipline is knowing that not every emotion needs an audience. So the next time you're triggered, pause, turn inward. Let the feeling speak. Let it be heard by you first. Not by your partner, not by your co-worker, not by a comment section. Speak silently. Listen deeply. Guide yourself back. Because emotions aren't enemies, they're messengers. But if you shout over them or let them shout through you, you never hear what they were trying to say. Speak to yourself first. Then, and only then, decide if anything still needs to be said at all. That is Stoic speech. Silent, wise, measured. Not because you can't speak, but because you've already heard what matters. Number 10. Create a noise audit once a week. There's noise everywhere. Not just the obvious kind, the honking cars, the buzzing phones, the crowded rooms, but also the silent noise, the mental clutter, the emotional static, the endless input that slips past unnoticed because it's become normal. But here's the truth. Just because it's normal doesn't mean it's harmless. And the Stoics knew that well. They didn't run from the world. They lived in it, some of them in palaces, others in slavery. But they filtered the world. They chose what got in, what stayed out, what deserved energy, and what didn't. That's what this habit is all about. One day each week, sit down and perform a noise audit. No sound, no background music, no multitasking. Just you, your thoughts, and a piece of paper. Write out every source of noise in your life. Start with the physical, the TV in the background, the clutter on your desk, the constant footsteps or traffic or mechanical hum. Then the digital, notifications that pop up for no reason, group chats that never rest, endless scrolling through feeds that drain more than they give. And finally, the emotional, conversations that leave you feeling hollow, unspoken tension in relationships, the inner critic that whispers 24/7. Now look at this list, slowly, silently, and rank each item by one thing. How much does this disturb my inner calm? Not how loud is it, not how much time does it take, but how much peace does it cost me? You'll be shocked. not by how much noise you have, but by how used to it you've become. We normalize chaos. We adjust to it. We adapt around it. But the cost is clarity, focus, stillness, sleep, presence. And we pay that cost in tiny daily withdrawals until one day we wake up anxious, restless, and don't know why. The Stoics didn't wait for peace to find them. They created it by subtracting what didn't serve it. This audit is your way of doing the same. It brings awareness, and with awareness comes choice. Look at the highest ranked noise on your list. What can you eliminate? What can you reduce? What can you put boundaries around? Maybe it's turning off notifications for just 1 hour a day. Maybe it's removing one toxic voice from your circle. Maybe it's clearing your workspace of clutter and breathing for 5 minutes in silence. You don't need to escape the world to protect your peace. You just need to become conscious of what's stealing it. This habit, done weekly, is like sharpening your mental sword. Each time you do it, you become more aware of what you're allowing in, more aware of what doesn't need to be there, more disciplined about guarding your mind like sacred ground. Because your peace is not accidental, it's built, filtered, protected. So this week, take 10 minutes. Create your noise audit. Face the noise, list it, rank it. Then reclaim your calm, not by doing more, but by subtracting what never belonged. That's Stoicism in practice, not hiding from the storm, but building walls that let in the light and leave the rest outside. Number 11. Embrace soundless service. Do good and don't say a word. Don't document it. Don't drop hints. Don't look around for approval. Just act, quietly, kindly, without needing to be seen, without needing to be thanked. This is one of the rarest habits in a world obsessed with recognition. Everyone wants to be known for doing good. Everyone wants their generosity seen, liked, shared. But Stoicism teaches a different way, a quieter path. One where the doing is the reward and the silence is part of the strength. Once a week, commit to an act of soundless service. It doesn't have to be grand. In fact, the smaller and more invisible, the better. Help someone carry something without waiting for a thank you. Pay for someone's meal and walk away. Leave a kind note with no signature. Forgive someone silently in your heart, even if they never know it. Why? Because when you help without expecting a return, you purify your intentions. You train your mind to value virtue over visibility, and in that silence, character is built. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men on earth, wrote to himself, not to impress others, but to stay grounded. He reminded himself often, "Don't waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Be straightforward, not seeking applause." Real virtue doesn't demand attention. It simply acts. And when you serve without sound, something subtle happens inside you. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to feel stronger, not in the way people cheer for, but in the way no one can take away. Your ego gets quieter, your motives get cleaner, and your sense of peace grows deeper. Try it. Choose one small act this week. Think of someone, anyone. Ask, how can I help them without them knowing it was me? Then do it, and walk away. No post, no update, no, look what I did. Just silence, just service, just stillness. And when your mind whispers, "But won't they notice?" or "Shouldn't I be appreciated?" gently remind it, this isn't for credit, this is for character. You don't have to be known to be good. You don't have to be seen to shine. You don't have to be heard to have impact. In fact, the most powerful acts are often the quietest ones. They echo not in applause, but in the soul. So let this be your Stoic practice. One quiet act, one invisible gift, one moment of silent strength. Because in silence, virtue shines brightest, and in service without noise, you become someone even applause can't define. Number 12. Construct a sanctuary hour. Give yourself 1 hour, just one, where the world cannot reach you, not to be productive, not to fix anything, not even to meditate or journal or grow, but simply to be, to sit in your own presence without obligation, without input, and without noise. This is your sanctuary hour, a sacred space carved out from the noise of modern life. No tasks, no talking, no goals, just you, in a room or a place that doesn't demand anything from you, not even improvement. This isn't laziness. This is preservation. It's the restoration of your mental soil after too many days of constant harvest. It's a return to the untouched parts of your mind that are always drowned out by notifications, schedules, headlines, and expectations. The Stoics knew this. A mind constantly stimulated cannot grow wise. Seneca wrote that to be everywhere is to be nowhere. He warned against the disease of busyness, not because work is bad, but because overstimulation kills reflection. Without stillness, even the most brilliant mind becomes shallow. So, once a week, construct your sanctuary hour. Find a space that feels safe, not fancy, not aesthetic, just safe. Maybe it's your room, a bench at the park, a walk without music, a chair by the window, somewhere you can be alone with your thoughts, without structure, without noise, and most importantly, without judgment. No phone, no podcasts, no inspirational quotes, no self-improvement checklists. Let the thoughts rise, let them drift. Don't chase them, don't control them, just sit, breathe, notice. Let your mind stretch out, the way the body does when it hasn't moved all day. This hour is not about progress, it's about spaciousness. You'll feel resistance at first. You'll want to do something. You'll hear the mental voice asking, "What's the point of this?" That's the part of you addicted to noise, addicted to achievement, addicted to distraction. Stay with it. Because once the discomfort settles, something unexpected emerges. Clarity. Old thoughts rise, new insights surface, patterns become visible, and beneath it all, a sense of calm begins to return. In this hour, you begin to see the difference between what's urgent and what's important. You begin to feel what your body has been holding. You begin to hear what your heart has been whispering under all the daily noise. This is where wisdom lives, not in effort, but in space. Not in control, but in stillness. You don't need to explain this hour to anyone. You don't need to justify it with results. Its value is in its silence. Its power is in its emptiness. So guard it. Put it on your calendar if you must. Treat it like you would a meeting with someone you deeply respect, because that's what it is. A meeting with yourself, with the part of you that's too often ignored. And over time, this hour becomes more than a pause. It becomes a sanctuary you carry with you. You'll find yourself thinking more clearly, responding more calmly, seeing more deeply. Not because you tried harder, but because you stopped trying for a little while. That's the paradox the Stoics understood. A mind that rests deeply becomes sharp. A life that honors silence becomes whole. And a person who knows how to be alone, truly alone, is unshakable. So build your sanctuary hour, Make it untouchable, and let it remind you of the wisdom that only quiet can reveal. Number 13. Let the breath replace words. Before you respond, breathe. Not as a tactic, not as a gimmick, but as a discipline, as a sacred pause. Let the inhale be your awareness. Let the exhale carry away the first wave of pride, defensiveness, judgment, or impulse. This is how Stoics speak, not quickly but wisely, not to win, but to understand, not to react, but to reveal only what is necessary, useful, and true. Epictetus taught his students that speech is not neutral. Every word either clarifies or clouds, heals or harms, and the greatest filter of speech is not the tongue, it's the breath. That tiny space between stimulus and response is where character is forged. So here's the habit. Before you speak, breathe. Just one breath. No one has to know. It's silent, subtle, but it shifts everything. That breath is a moment to check your motives. To ask yourself silently, am I about to speak for understanding or for ego? Am I trying to help or just to win? Do these words bring clarity or just more noise? And more often than not, you'll find that your first reaction isn't your best. It's your most emotional. It's your most wounded. It's your most defensive. But when you breathe first, the urgency drains out. And in that empty space, wisdom walks in. This is not silence for the sake of silence. This is strategic restraint. It's choosing depth over speed. It's choosing your peace over being right. It's realizing that not everything deserves a reply, and not every reply deserves to be instant. Let your breath speak first. Let it slow you down. Let it quiet the noise inside you, so the voice that comes out isn't just loud, it's clean. This will change your relationships. Arguments that used to ignite instantly now cool before they spark. You don't lose your power, you reclaim it. Because when you choose not to react immediately, you show that you are no longer owned by your emotions. You've become the one in control. This applies everywhere, in conversations with loved ones, in meetings, online, in conflict, in moments where someone pushes your buttons, insults you, dismisses you. Instead of snapping back, inhale, exhale, then decide. That breath is your shield. It also makes you a better listener. Epictetus reminded us we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so we can listen more than we speak. But most people don't listen. They wait to talk. They prepare their comeback before the other person has even finished their sentence. You don't have to be most people. You can be calm in a world of noise, still in a world of speed, thoughtful in a world of reaction. Let the breath be your first language. Not every silence needs to be filled. Not every moment needs a statement. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all, yet. Just a breath, a pause, a moment of self-control that no one sees, but you will feel. That's Stoic strength, quiet, invisible, anchored. The world rushes to speak. You breathe. The world shouts to be heard. You exhale. The world reacts. You respond with clarity, with intention, with peace. Because wisdom doesn't start with talking. It starts with a breath. Number 14. Memorize 1 line of Stoic text in silence. Don't just read wisdom. Install it. Quietly, deeply, permanently. Not with noise, not with a highlighter, not even with your voice, but in silence, in stillness, in the privacy of your own mind. 1 line, 1 thought, One sentence from a Stoic master, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. That's all you need. Not a book, not a lecture, just a single truth, memorized silently, so it becomes yours forever. This is not about collecting quotes. This is about building armor. Each week, pick one line, sit with it, repeat it in your mind, slowly, intentionally, without saying it aloud, without writing it down. Let the silence wrap around it like a cloak. Let it echo inside until it settles, until it sticks. It might be, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. Or, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Or, it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about them. Repeat it when you're walking. Repeat it in the shower. Repeat it before sleep. Not to perform it, but to become it. You're not just memorizing, you're embedding wisdom into your operating system. The power of this practice is subtle but deep, because when pressure hits, when you're caught in conflict or drowned in anxiety or tempted to break your values, you won't need to reach for a book. You won't need a pep talk. The line will rise on its own, like a quiet shield inside your chest. And that's what makes this Stoic. It's internal, it's portable, it's personal, it's forged in silence so it can function in chaos. Think of it like mental martial arts. You're training your mind not with drama, but with discipline, not with shouting, but with stillness. And the more you practice, the more quotes you carry, not in a notebook, but in your bloodstream. You'll notice something else too. Memorizing a line in silence changes your relationship to it. You're not just reading it, you're absorbing it. You feel the weight of the words. You hear their rhythm. You notice layers you missed the first time. You stop consuming and start internalizing. That's what the Stoics did. Marcus didn't write meditations for us. He wrote it for himself. He repeated truths in his journal until they became part of how he saw the world. That's what you're doing. Building your own internal journal, written in memory, protected in silence. So this week, choose one line. No noise, no sharing. Just you and the thought. Make it your silent companion. When stress comes, it will whisper. When anger rises, it will return. When doubt clouds your mind, it will shine like a lantern. And if you repeat this every week, just one quote at a time, your inner library will grow, quietly, invisibly, powerfully. So don't chase more. Chase depth. Because one sentence, truly memorized in silence, can do more for your life than 100 books skimmed in noise. That's Stoic training. One line, 1 week, one mind, sharpened in stillness. Number 15. Cultivate death silence as daily reflection. At the end of the day, let everything fade. Let the noise go. Let the obligations dissolve. Just sit, quietly. No distractions, no movement. And ask yourself the question most people avoid with every ounce of their energy. If this was my last night alive, did I live silently and well? This isn't morbid. This isn't dark. This is Stoic clarity in its purest form. Memento mori, the reminder that you will die, is not about fear. It's not about despair. It's about purification. It's about stripping away what's petty, what's loud, what's performative, until only what matters remains, and that only happens in silence. The Stoics reflected on death daily, not in theory, but in practice. Marcus Aurelius wrote about it often, not to scare himself, but to sharpen himself. He would ask, Am I doing what truly matters? Or am I spending precious life chasing shadows, reacting to nonsense, defending things that don't matter in the end? You can do the same. And you don't need a journal. You don't need candles. You don't need a ritual. Just silence. Just honesty. Just 5 to 10 minutes at night, alone with your thoughts, asking the real questions. Did I waste my energy today proving myself to people who weren't even watching? Did I fill the silence with distractions instead of purpose? Was I loud for the wrong reasons? Did I listen more than I spoke? Did I give more than I took? Did I live like someone who knows time is not guaranteed? This reflection is not about shame, it's about returning. It's about cleaning your inner house before sleep, wiping away the trivial, coming back to center. And it's not always comfortable. Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes you'll realize, today you weren't aligned. You spoke from ego. You chased validation. You worried about things that won't matter a week from now. Good. That discomfort is your compass. It's a sign you're awake. Because the Stoic doesn't reflect to feel righteous. The Stoic reflects to adjust, to fine-tune, to leave tomorrow a little lighter, a little quieter, a little more true. In silence, death stops being a distant concept. It becomes a focusing lens. It whispers, you don't have time for everything, so choose what matters. And you start choosing better. You stop picking fights over meaningless things. You stop seeking approval from strangers. You stop rushing to get somewhere when here is already full of life. And instead of reacting, you start living. Not loudly, not theatrically, but deliberately, gratefully, silently. Try this tonight. Before you go to bed, turn off the lights. Sit still. No phone, no goals. Just breathe. And ask, if this was the end, did I live with quiet strength today? Or did I chase noise? You don't need to answer perfectly. You just need to ask. And let the silence do the refining. Because death, when reflected on in stillness, becomes the ultimate teacher. Not of endings, but of essence. Of what's real. Of what's urgent. Of what's worth carrying forward. This is death silence. A daily return to truth. Not to grieve life, but to protect it. Not to fear loss, but to honor presence. And when you do this often, you'll notice something. You become harder to offend, slower to anger, faster to forgive, and quieter because you're no longer interested in what doesn't matter. You're too busy living well, silently, intentionally, as if each day is sacred, because it is. The loudest strength is the one no one hears. In a world obsessed with shouting, proving, and performing, the Stoic path leads elsewhere, into silence, into clarity, into peace. These 15 habits aren't about retreating from life. They're about showing up with such calm, such stillness, that the noise around you can't touch your core. You're no longer reactive. You're deliberate. You're not chasing applause. You're anchored in something deeper. From whisperless observation to silent service, from breath-led conversations to death-reflective evenings, these practices are not trends. They're timeless tools, used by warriors, emperors, and thinkers to live with purpose, even in chaos. So ask yourself tonight, did I fill my day with noise or meaning? Now it's your turn. Which of these Stoic habits spoke to you the most? Today, we're going to dive into a topic that touches every single one of us. It's something we do every single day, yet many of us might not be doing it in the most mindful way. We're talking about mornings, that sacred window of time that sets the tone for how we feel and behave for the rest of the day. If you're someone who admires Stoicism, that ancient philosophy we've grown to love and lean on, you'll be glad to know that it has powerful teachings about how we should begin each day. So today, I'm going to share with you 10 things we should avoid doing as soon as we wake up, each one grounded in Stoic wisdom and principles. If you're ready to give your mornings a Stoic makeover and begin each day with a clear, grounded, and empowered mindset, then stick with me. Let's get into it. First, let's reflect for a moment. Mornings are like a fresh beginning, a blank page upon which we can write the story of our day. So why not start it in the best way possible? The Stoics believed that the way we begin our day can greatly shape our mindset and our actions. One of the most revered Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, once said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." These words are a gentle invitation to recognize the value of each new day and to start it with mindfulness and gratitude. Now, before we get into the specific habits we should steer clear of, I want to ask you something. Have you ever woken up feeling anxious, irritable, or weighed down by a sense of stress? Most of us have experienced that at some point, but Stoicism teaches us a powerful truth. It's not the events themselves that affect us, it's how we perceive them. So, if we shift our perspective about mornings, we can influence our entire day. And that's exactly what we're going to learn. How to let go of certain habits that quietly sabotage our mornings, and instead embrace a Stoic mindset that leads us toward peace, clarity, and joy. One of the first things we should stop doing is checking our phones immediately upon waking. I know this might be a tough one, especially in today's digital world. Many of us reach for our phones as soon as our eyes open. We check emails, notifications, social media updates. But have you ever paused to consider how this habit impacts your state of mind from the very first moment of your day? Seneca, one of the great Stoic minds, once pointed out that it's not that we have too little time, but that we waste so much of it. When we begin our day by diving into our phones, we're allowing the outside world's noise, demands, and expectations to invade our mental space before we've even had a chance to center ourselves. We rob ourselves of those precious, quiet moments of self-reflection, moments that could be used to set a meaningful tone for the day. So instead of immediately grabbing your phone, why not devote the first few minutes after waking to something more fulfilling? You could do a brief meditation, express gratitude, or simply sit in silence and soak in the peaceful energy of a new day. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If the first thoughts we entertain are full of stress, noise, and distraction, then that's the energy we carry with us. But if we begin the day with calm, clarity, and positive intent, we prepare ourselves for a much more productive and balanced experience. And here's why this matters. Your brain is like a sponge in the early hours of the morning. It's wide open and ready to absorb whatever you present to it. If the first thing it takes in is stress, comparison, or digital chaos, that's what it will mirror throughout the day. On the other hand, if you offer it peace, reflection, and purpose, you're laying the groundwork for a calmer, more focused day. So next time you wake up, try resisting the urge to check your phone. Give yourself those first moments as a gift. Breathe deeply. Reflect intentionally. Set a powerful tone for your day. You'll notice a significant shift in how you feel and how you respond to whatever the day throws at you. Now, let's move on to another habit that often gets overlooked: repeatedly hitting the snooze button. Let's be honest, we've all done it. The alarm goes off, and instead of getting up, we hit snooze, again and again, grasping for those extra 5 minutes of rest. But as comforting as that might seem in the moment, it's not doing us any favors. Epictetus, another brilliant Stoic philosopher, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This quote fits perfectly here. When we keep snoozing our alarm, we're allowing laziness and a lack of discipline to steer our day right from the start. It might feel harmless, but repeatedly postponing our wake-up time actually disrupts our energy and hurts our productivity. Each time we drift back to sleep, we enter a new sleep cycle, one that we don't have time to complete. This leaves us feeling more groggy, confused, and sluggish when we finally do get up. So, what can we do instead? Marcus Aurelius offers us another piece of practical wisdom. When you wake up, he suggests, think about the privilege of simply being alive, of breathing, thinking, enjoying, and loving. Let that thought fuel you instead of giving in to the temptation to snooze. Rise with a sense of gratitude and intention. Why does this matter so much? Because when you get up as soon as your alarm rings, you're training your mind and body to respond with discipline and purpose. You're declaring to yourself that you are in control, not your comfort zone, not inertia. You're setting the tone of your day from a place of strength, not passivity. And that mental posture follows you into everything else you do. So, instead of allowing yourself to be dragged into the day half asleep and half willing, make the decision to rise with clarity and purpose. That one choice can create a ripple effect throughout the rest of your day. Waking up early doesn't just give us a head start on the day. It energizes us and sets a tone of determination and proactivity that can influence everything that follows. Imagine the difference between rising with a clear mind and a body ready to move, compared to dragging yourself out of bed, burdened by guilt for hitting the snooze button one too many times. That simple act of getting up promptly is a small victory, but one that holds the power to shape your entire day. So, the next time your alarm sounds, recall the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and choose to rise with gratitude and intention. You'll begin to see how this one decision, repeated daily, can start to transform not only your mornings, but your entire life. Let's talk about the habit of complaining as soon as we wake up. We've all had those mornings when the first words out of our mouths are complaints. "I'm so tired," "I don't want to go to work," or "I hate Mondays." While these thoughts might seem harmless, they actually carry more weight than we realize. Epictetus teaches that it isn't what happens to us that matters most, but how we respond to it. When we start our day by complaining, we set our minds to perceive everything negatively. These early complaints lay the groundwork for a cycle of negativity that can darken our mood and distort our perspective throughout the day. What's worse is that complaining doesn't solve anything. It only magnifies what's wrong and distracts us from what's right. So what should we do instead? We can choose to practice gratitude. Upon waking, try thinking of 3 things you're genuinely thankful for. Marcus Aurelius once said that the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. By beginning the day with a focus on the positive, you're cultivating a mindset of abundance and appreciation, one that will color every interaction and activity. Why does this shift in focus work? Because the mind naturally continues in the direction it starts. If you begin with negativity, your brain will keep finding things to complain about. But if you start with gratitude, your brain becomes primed to seek out more reasons to be grateful. Not only does this improve your mood, but it also strengthens your resilience in the face of challenges. Imagine waking up and, instead of moaning, you pause to give thanks for a new day, for the people you love, for simply having shelter. This small adjustment can change your entire outlook and empower you to face the day with a positive, proactive spirit. So, next time you catch yourself ready to complain, remember Epictetus's wisdom and choose gratitude instead. You might be surprised at how this little morning ritual can improve both your day and your life. Sometimes when we wake up, especially after hitting the snooze button or sleeping in, we feel the urge to leap out of bed and rush into the day. But according to Marcus Aurelius, this kind of haste can actually be counterproductive. He warned that haste is the mother of failure. By hurrying, we invite stress into our lives from the very first moment. Skipping over those calm initial minutes can send both your body and mind into a state of unnecessary tension. When you start your day running, it's easy to feel scattered and overwhelmed before the day has even truly begun. So what's the alternative? Give yourself a few minutes to wake up slowly and mindfully. Take time to stretch, to breathe deeply, and to mentally prepare yourself for what lies ahead. Marcus Aurelius also advised us to devote only the necessary time to each task and to let go of what doesn't belong to us. This is a call to begin each day with clarity and without rushing, focusing only on what truly matters. Why does this approach work? Because a calm and centered beginning sets the tone for a peaceful and organized day. When you take a moment to stretch and breathe, you awaken your body gently and prepare your mind to meet the day's demands with focus and calm. This practice can help you feel more composed and less susceptible to stress or anxiety. Picture yourself starting your morning with stillness, reflecting briefly on your goals, and stepping into your day with a calm and intentional mindset. That one small change can dramatically shift your experience of the entire day. So next time you wake up, resist the urge to rush. Instead, take a few moments to rise slowly, purposefully, and with calm resolve. You'll find that this habit can deeply improve your morning and contribute to your overall well-being. Another important but often overlooked part of the morning routine is hydration. Many times, when we wake up, we forget something as simple yet vital as drinking water. After hours of sleep, our bodies are naturally dehydrated and need water to begin functioning properly again. Seneca once said that true happiness lies in enjoying the present moment without anxious dependence on the future. But in order to fully experience and appreciate the present, our physical body must be at its best, and that starts with staying well hydrated. Skipping that first glass of water in the morning can leave you feeling sluggish and drained before the day has even begun. Many of us often forget something as simple yet essential as staying hydrated when we wake up. After several hours of sleep, our body is in need of water to function optimally. Not drinking water immediately after waking up can leave us dehydrated, which in turn can affect our concentration, energy, and overall mood. Just as an engine requires oil to run smoothly, our body needs water to start the day in the best possible way. So, what can we do instead? Simply drinking a glass of water when you wake up is an easy habit to adopt. This not only helps rehydrate your body, but also stimulates your digestive system and provides a gentle energy boost. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the quality of our life is directly linked to the quality of our thoughts, and mental clarity is greatly influenced by how well we care for our body. Hydration is crucial for almost all bodily functions, and when you drink water in the morning, you are helping your body flush out toxins accumulated overnight and preparing it for the day ahead. It's also a simple way of showing your body that you care for it, which can positively impact your general well-being. Imagine starting the day feeling fresh after a glass of water, your body waking up and revitalizing. This small action can significantly boost your energy and focus throughout the day. The next time you wake up, instead of rushing into your daily routine, take a moment to hydrate yourself. You will see how this simple act can help you feel better and more prepared to tackle the day ahead. For many people, breakfast might seem like an unnecessary use of time, especially when rushing out the door. However, skipping breakfast can have a negative impact on our energy levels and concentration during the day. Marcus Aurelius once said that what we do now echoes in eternity, and starting the day without nourishing our body is akin to trying to start a car without gasoline. Breakfast provides the essential energy needed to begin the day with strength. Skipping it can leave us feeling weak, irritable, and less productive. Additionally, having a balanced breakfast helps control hunger levels and prevents overeating later in the day. So, what can we do instead? Spend a few minutes preparing and enjoying a nutritious breakfast. It doesn't have to be elaborate. A simple bowl of oatmeal, a fruit and vegetable smoothie, or a couple of eggs with toast will do. Epictetus teaches us that nature has given us a mouth and 2 ears so that we can listen more and talk less, which can also be applied to how we approach our meals. Pay attention to what your body needs and nourish it properly. A healthy breakfast stabilizes blood sugar levels, helping us maintain consistent energy and focus. It also improves our mood and enhances our ability to handle stress. Imagine starting your day with a meal that nourishes your body, giving you the energy to feel more in control and prepared for whatever comes. The next time you wake up, instead of skipping breakfast, take a few minutes to enjoy a nutritious meal. You'll notice how this small change can have a big impact on both your well-being and productivity. Waking up without a plan can lead to a disorganized and unproductive day. Marcus Aurelius wisely advised that we should not waste time arguing about what a good person should be. This advice is perfectly applicable to how we should approach our daily lives. Instead of letting ourselves be carried by the current, we should have a clear plan for what we want to achieve. Without a plan, it's easy to get distracted and waste time on unimportant activities. This often leaves us feeling unsatisfied at the end of the day, as though we've accomplished little. So, what can we do instead? Take a few minutes to plan your day ahead. Make a list of the most important tasks you need to complete and establish priorities. This not only helps you stay focused, but also gives you a sense of purpose and direction. A clear plan helps structure our time and energy more efficiently, avoiding procrastination and ensuring that we are working toward our goals. Epictetus reminds us that wealth is not about having many possessions, but about having few needs. When we plan our day, we can focus on what really matters and avoid wasting time on trivial matters. Imagine how it would feel to start the day with a clear sense of what you want to achieve and a well-organized plan to help you do so. This simple habit can significantly improve your productivity and overall satisfaction with your day. The next time you wake up, instead of diving into an aimless routine, take a moment to plan your day. You will see how this small change can positively impact your daily experience and your life as a whole. Waking up and allowing negative thoughts to flood our minds is a common occurrence. These thoughts might be worries about work, personal life, or simply the feeling of not accomplishing enough. Marcus Aurelius advises that our minds adapt and become molded by what is imposed upon them, much like how iron is shaped by the hammer. This means that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we react and how those events affect us. Allowing negative thoughts to dominate your mind first thing in the morning can set a tone of negativity and stress that may linger for hours. Such thoughts can drain your energy and motivation, making the day feel heavier and more difficult to manage. So, what can we do instead? The answer lies in practicing self-observation and redirecting our thoughts. When you wake up and notice negative thoughts creeping in, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this really useful? Consider how you might view the situation in a more positive or constructive light. Epictetus taught us that it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. By practicing reframing, we can transform negative thoughts into opportunities for growth and resilience. This works because our thoughts have a powerful impact on our emotions and actions. When we start the day with a positive and constructive mindset, we set ourselves up for a productive and satisfying day. In addition, by training our minds to detect and redirect negative thoughts, we become more resilient and better equipped to manage stress. Imagine waking up and, instead of letting negative thoughts take over, you take control by pausing and redirecting your mind to something positive and constructive. This small change can transform your perspective, making your day feel much more manageable and enjoyable. So the next time you wake up and those negative thoughts begin to surface, remember the advice of Aurelius and Epictetus. Stop, observe, and redirect. You'll see how this simple habit can improve your morning and, by extension, your life. Another pitfall is neglecting our bodies. It's easy to get up and immediately start tackling tasks without dedicating time to our physical well-being. However, as Epictetus said, tell yourself what you will be and then do whatever you have to do. This means that we must care for ourselves to be in the best shape possible to face the day. Neglecting our bodies first thing in the morning can leave us feeling stiff, tired, and less energized. Skipping stretching or exercise can have long-term effects on both our physical and mental health. What can we do instead? Take a few minutes to stretch or do light exercise. It doesn't need to be an extensive routine. Even a few minutes of stretching or yoga can make a significant difference. Marcus Aurelius also reminds us that the art of living is more like fighting than dancing. In other words, we need to prepare our bodies for the challenges of the day, and that preparation begins with movement. This works because movement and exercise in the morning help wake up our muscles, improve circulation, and release endorphins, which make us feel happier and more energized. By dedicating time to take care of our bodies, we also mentally prepare ourselves to face the day with more confidence and vitality. Imagine starting your day with a few minutes of gentle stretching or light exercise, feeling your body wake up and fill with energy. This simple habit can transform your physical and mental well-being throughout the day. So the next time you get up, instead of rushing directly into your daily activities, take a few minutes to care for your body. You'll see how this small change can have a profound impact on your energy and overall well-being. Finally, don't skip morning reflection. Often we wake up and dive straight into our routines without taking a moment to reflect. However, morning reflection can be a powerful tool for establishing the tone of the day. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, said, "Begin each day by telling yourself, Today I will encounter interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, evil will, and selfishness. This is not a negative attitude, but rather a way to prepare ourselves mentally for any challenge with serenity and wisdom. Failing to reflect can make the day feel chaotic and uncontrollable. Without taking a brief pause to think about our priorities and how we want to approach the day, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. So, what can we do instead? Dedicate a few minutes each morning to quiet reflection. You could meditate, write in a journal, or simply sit in silence and contemplate your goals and what you hope to achieve during the day. Epictetus advised that a wise person is the only one who is truly free because they can act with control and reflection. This practice works because it gives us the opportunity to pause, clear our minds, and set our intentions for the day. When we reflect, we create space for conscious decisions rather than reacting automatically. By reflecting each morning, we are not only mentally preparing for the challenges of the day, but also giving ourselves the clarity to approach each situation with purpose and balance. Morning reflection is a practice that can greatly benefit us, and here's why it works. Taking time for reflection in the morning allows us to focus and set a clear intention for the day. It helps us start with a mindset rooted in purpose and calm, rather than rushing and feeling disorganized. By spending a few minutes reflecting, we become more mindful of our actions and decisions throughout the day, leading to greater awareness and intentionality. Imagine how it would feel to begin your day with a brief period of quiet reflection, where you set your intentions and mentally prepare yourself for any challenges that might arise. This small but powerful habit can help you feel more in control and focused, as you are better equipped to handle whatever comes your way. So, the next time you wake up, instead of diving straight into your tasks and obligations, take a few moments to reflect. You'll soon realize how this simple change can have a profound impact on your peace of mind, making you feel more grounded and productive throughout the day. Have you ever felt manipulated, used, or completely drained of your emotional energy? Have you ever found yourself questioning your sanity, wondering how someone could treat you so poorly, yet make you feel as though you're the one at fault? If you've ever been in a relationship where someone constantly takes without giving, where their drama becomes your burden, or where every day feels like a battle, then this video is for you. It's time to break free from the cycle of emotional abuse and manipulation. In this video, I will share 13 insightful ways to deal with toxic people, drawing on the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, techniques that have withstood the test of thousands of years, but remain as relevant as ever in today's world. Let's dive deep into the heart of manipulation, control, and emotional warfare, and arm you with the tools you need to protect your peace and reclaim your life. Relationships today, whether romantic, familial, or even friendships, can be incredibly toxic. We live in a world where many individuals have been conditioned to manipulate others in order to get what they want. Toxic people will drain you completely, leaving you feeling exhausted, powerless, and questioning your self-worth. But here's the truth: they do not have control over you. You have the power to rise above their tactics and take charge of your emotional well-being. This is the core insight that the Stoics understood so well. Control what you can and let go of the rest. In this video, we will explore 13 powerful strategies based on Stoic philosophy that will help you handle toxic individuals like a warrior. This is not about passively accepting abuse. It's about taking bold, decisive action to protect yourself, reclaim your peace, and become emotionally bulletproof. Let's begin with something that might seem obvious, but is often overlooked. Identifying toxic behavior. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where no matter what you do, nothing is ever good enough? Whether it's a friend, partner, or family member, they criticize every little thing, constantly question your decisions, and somehow always position themselves as the victim. You end up apologizing even when you haven't done anything wrong. If this sounds familiar, you're experiencing manipulation at its core, which is classic toxic behavior. Toxic people behave like emotional parasites, draining you of your energy in ways so subtle that you often don't realize it until you're completely exhausted. They are experts at delivering small, seemingly harmless comments that undermine your confidence, making you question your worth. They might say things like, "I was just joking," or "Why are you so sensitive?" But don't be fooled. This is emotional manipulation at its finest. Toxic people love to play the victim, twisting every situation to make you feel guilty for simply standing up for yourself. How many times have you heard, "I can't believe you would do this to me," or "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me"? These are manipulation tactics designed to make you doubt your instincts and lower your defenses. The first step in breaking free is recognizing these behaviors for what they truly are: emotional abuse. It's not just a bad day or a miscommunication. It's a deliberate attempt to control and manipulate you. Once you see through the mask they wear, you can start taking steps to protect yourself. Here's a golden rule to remember. If you constantly find yourself justifying someone's behavior to others or even to yourself, that's a huge red flag. Healthy relationships don't require you to explain away mistreatment. Toxic ones do. Now, let's address a powerful truth. It's not personal. Toxic people's behavior is never about you. It's always about them. While this might sound simple, think about how many times you've internalized their words, questioning whether you truly are the problem. They make you feel like everything is your fault, but the reality is, their behavior is a reflection of their own inner turmoil and insecurities. They can't take responsibility for their own actions, so they project their negativity onto you. Have you ever noticed how a toxic person will lash out at you when they're feeling insecure or stressed? Maybe they've had a bad day at work or are unhappy with their own life, but instead of dealing with their own issues, they take it out on you. Suddenly, you're the target, and they twist every situation to make it seem like you're the one causing the problems. But here's where Stoicism offers a powerful insight. We don't control what others do, only how we respond. Toxic people want you to react. They want to trigger your emotions because that's how they maintain control. Once you understand that their behavior has nothing to do with you, you can rise above it. You can let go of the guilt, the self-doubt, and the need to fix them. Because here's the truth, you can't fix them. You can only protect yourself. When they try to drag you into their emotional mess, remind yourself, it's not about me. You are not their therapist, their emotional punching bag, or their scapegoat. Their issues are their responsibility, not yours. Now that you've recognized toxic behavior and understood that it's not about you, it's time to set clear boundaries. And when I say boundaries, I don't mean vague, wishy-washy lines in the sand. I mean firm, non-negotiable rules that protect your peace and well-being. The thing is, toxic people hate boundaries because they limit their control over you. Let me let you in on a little secret. The reason toxic people push your limits is that they're testing you. They want to see how much they can get away with. It might start with small things, like constantly texting or calling you at all hours, interrupting your work, or demanding your attention when you need space. Then it escalates, and before you know it, you're sacrificing your time, your energy, and your mental health just to keep them happy. But here's the kicker. You don't owe anyone your energy. Your time and emotional well-being are precious, and you have every right to protect them. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. You have to be able to say no without guilt, without explanation, and without fear of retaliation. Here's a simple but powerful boundary. Stop explaining yourself. Toxic people love to drag you into endless explanations. Why don't you want to do this? How come you're acting this way? Don't you care about me? They'll use guilt, manipulation, and even anger to make you justify your decisions. But here's the thing. You don't need to justify your boundaries to anyone. Next time they try to cross a line, simply say, "This is what I need," or "I'm not available for that," and then end the conversation. The more you stand firm in your boundaries, the more they'll realize they can't manipulate you. Eventually, they'll either adjust their behavior or move on to someone else who will tolerate their nonsense. The next powerful strategy is mastering the art of non-reaction. Toxic people thrive on your reactions. They push your buttons to get a rise out of you, because let's face it, they live for the drama. Every time you react with anger, frustration, or even sadness, you're giving them exactly what they want: power over your emotions. But here's the truth. You have the power to stop them dead in their tracks. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control other people's actions, we can control how we respond. Imagine you're in the middle of an argument with a toxic person. They're throwing accusations, insults, and blame your way, hoping to provoke a reaction. What if, instead of engaging, you stayed completely calm? What if you simply didn't react at all? This might sound crazy, but I promise it's one of the most powerful moves you can make. When you stop reacting to their nonsense, you strip them of their power. They can't control you if you refuse to play their game. I know it's difficult, especially when they're pushing every button, but non-reaction is like building an emotional shield around yourself. The more you practice it, the less their words and actions will affect you. When someone tries to provoke you, pause, take a deep breath, and instead of reacting immediately, think to yourself, "I don't need to engage in this." Then say something neutral, like, "I hear what you're saying," or "I'll think about it," and walk away from the conversation. You don't owe them an emotional response, and you certainly don't owe them your peace of mind. Let's dive into one of the most effective techniques for dealing with toxic individuals who thrive on drama: the gray rock method. This strategy can truly change the game when you're dealing with someone who feeds on chaos and conflict. Toxic people crave your attention, your emotional energy, and most of all, your reactions. So, how do you deal with them? By becoming as boring and unremarkable as possible, like a grey rock. Picture this. Every time this person tries to stir up drama or provoke you, you respond with the most dull, neutral response imaginable. They're expecting you to react emotionally, whether it's by exploding, crying, or getting into a heated argument, but instead you stay calm, indifferent, and completely uninterested in the turmoil they're trying to create. By doing this, you deny them the emotional fuel they need to keep the drama going. Why does this work? Because toxic people feed off your emotional responses. When you react emotionally, you give them the energy they crave. But when you become a grey rock, emotionless, detached, and unaffected by their antics, they lose interest. They thrive on drama, and without it, they are left with nothing. Over time, they may adjust their behavior because they're not getting the reactions they expect, or they may simply move on to someone else who will feed their need for chaos. Keep in mind, this isn't about being passive or letting them walk all over you. It's about protecting your peace. By refusing to engage in their game, you take back control, refusing to give them access to your emotions. That's the ultimate form of control. Try this next time someone tries to drag you into their toxic drama, and you'll be amazed at how quickly the dynamic shifts when you remain unreactive. Another powerful technique for dealing with toxic people is the broken record technique. Toxic individuals can be relentless. They don't take no for an answer and will keep pushing until you eventually give in. Does this sound familiar? Perhaps it's a friend who always expects you to drop everything to help them, or a partner who keeps asking for something you've already refused. These people can be like bulldozers, relentlessly pushing you until you cave in. This is where the broken record technique comes into play, and trust me, it's one of the most powerful tools you can use in these situations. Here's how it works. Instead of getting sucked into an argument or justifying your stance, you simply repeat your position over and over again, like a broken record. Imagine this scenario. Someone asks you to do something unreasonable, and instead of explaining, justifying, or debating, you calmly say, "I'm not comfortable with that." They'll push back, but you remain firm, repeating, "I'm not comfortable with that." No emotion, no defensiveness, just calm, steady repetition. Eventually, they'll realize they can't break through your wall, and they will either give up or reveal their true colors. This technique works especially well in close relationships where toxic individuals feel entitled to your time, energy, or resources. The beauty of the broken record technique is that it doesn't escalate the situation, but it firmly reinforces your boundaries. Toxic people thrive on wearing you down, but when you stand your ground with unwavering consistency, they lose their grip. Remember, your boundaries are non-negotiable, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. One of the hardest truths you may need to accept when dealing with toxic people is that sometimes the best way to protect yourself is to limit your exposure to them. Some people are just bad for you, no matter how much you love them or how long you've known them. They bring nothing but negativity into your life, and the more time you spend with them, the more drained and unhappy you become. Toxic people can be emotional parasites. They feed off your energy, your kindness, and your attention. But here's an important truth to remember. You don't owe them anything, not your time, not your emotional energy, and definitely not your mental health. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is put some distance between you and them. I understand that cutting ties or distancing yourself can be tough, especially when the person is a family member, a longtime friend, or someone you deeply care about. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Your well-being must come first. If someone constantly makes you feel small, stressed, or emotionally exhausted, it's time to consider limiting your exposure to them. This doesn't mean you don't care about them. It simply means you care enough about yourself to protect your peace. Limiting exposure can take many forms. It might involve seeing them less often, keeping conversations brief, or steering clear of sensitive topics that trigger toxic behavior. If it's a coworker, it could mean limiting interactions to strictly professional matters. If it's a family member, it might mean setting firm boundaries around when and how you engage with them. You can still be polite and respectful while guarding your energy. Your mental health is priceless, and toxic people do not have the right to take that from you. Building a strong support system is another powerful way to deal with toxic people. One of the most insidious tactics toxic individuals use is isolation. They'll undermine your other relationships, either subtly or not so subtly, making you feel as if they're the only ones you can rely on. Over time, they chip away at your confidence, making you doubt your judgment and distancing you from the people who genuinely care about you. This is how they maintain control, by feeding off your dependency and keeping you trapped in their toxic web. But here's a powerful truth. You don't have to go through this alone. Building a solid support system is one of the most effective ways to combat the influence of toxic people. Surround yourself with people who genuinely care about your well-being, who support your growth, and who respect your boundaries. Whether they're family, friends, or a community of like-minded individuals, having a network of people who support you will make a huge difference in how you handle toxic relationships. When you have people in your corner who uplift you, it becomes much harder for toxic individuals to tear you down. Your support system should consist of people who encourage you to be the best version of yourself, those who challenge you to grow in ways that feel empowering, not draining. These are the friends who call you out when you're slipping, but they do so with kindness, not judgment. They're the ones who respect your boundaries, support your decisions, and never make you feel guilty for choosing what's best for you. When you have a tribe of people who love and respect you, toxic people lose their power because they can no longer isolate you. Remember, the stronger your support system, the weaker the toxic person's grip on your life. Find your people, lean on them, and let their positivity reinforce your own strength. Self-care is a necessity when dealing with toxic people. Toxic individuals can be exhausting, whether through emotional manipulation, constant criticism, or relentless negativity. They have a way of draining you. That's why self-care isn't just a luxury, it's a vital tool for protecting yourself. Think of self-care as your emotional armor, shielding you from the corrosive effects of toxic relationships. Without it, you're vulnerable to burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. So what does self-care look like when you're dealing with toxic people? It's more than just bubble baths and spa days, though those can certainly help. True self-care involves making decisions that protect your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. It's about knowing when to say no without feeling guilty and creating space for yourself to recharge, reflect, and recalibrate. Most importantly, it's about recognizing that your needs are just as important, if not more important, than anyone else's. Toxic people will never prioritize your needs. They'll expect you to put them first, to sacrifice your time, energy, and well-being for their benefit. But here's the key. You don't have to do that. You have the right to put yourself first, to take care of your mental health, and to refuse to let their negativity drain you. Self-care might involve taking breaks from social interactions, practicing mindfulness or meditation, or engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Self-care also means recognizing when you've reached your limit. If a toxic person is pushing you too far, it's okay to take a step back, create space, and focus on your healing. Stoicism teaches us the importance of maintaining inner peace, and self-care is the foundation of that peace. When you prioritize your well-being, toxic people lose their power over you because you no longer depend on their approval or validation. Dealing with toxic individuals can feel overwhelming, but one of the most crucial realizations you need to have is this: you cannot fix them. No matter how deeply you love them, how much effort you put into understanding their behavior, or how many sleepless nights you spend trying to help them, you are not responsible for their healing. Toxic people often remain trapped in cycles of manipulation, blame-shifting, and control, because these patterns serve their own needs, whether it's emotional validation, power, or simply the ability to control others. The more you attempt to fix them, the more you become ensnared in their web. Think about times when you've tried helping someone, only to find that your efforts go unnoticed or unappreciated. Perhaps you've been in a relationship where no matter how much you gave, your partner constantly made you feel like it was never enough. This is how toxic people draw you into a cycle of guilt and obligation. You become fixated on trying to fix them, but they remain unchanged because deep down, they don't want to change. Here's the harsh truth. You are not their savior. You cannot save someone who does not want to be saved. Stoicism teaches us an important lesson. We can only control ourselves, not others. When you stop trying to fix someone else and focus on improving your own boundaries and reactions, you unlock true freedom. You begin to reclaim the energy you've been wasting on someone who never appreciated it in the first place. The moment you realize that fixing toxic people is not your responsibility is the moment you break free from their manipulation. It's not your job to repair someone who refuses to heal, and you deserve relationships where your love and effort are valued and respected, not ones where your emotional labor goes unrecognized and unrewarded. The next mental shift comes with the concept of cognitive reframing. Toxic people have a remarkable ability to make you feel like the villain in their story. They twist facts, manipulate situations, and somehow make everything your fault. But here's the truth. It's not about you, it's about them. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control what others do, we can control how we perceive the world. This is where cognitive reframing becomes a powerful tool. For example, if you find yourself in an argument with someone who constantly criticizes you, instead of internalizing their words and allowing them to affect your self-worth, try reframing the situation. Their criticism is not a reflection of who you are, but of their own insecurities. By shifting your perspective, you disarm their ability to hurt you emotionally. You start to see their toxic behavior for what it truly is, a projection of their own fears and inadequacies. Think about how often toxic individuals gaslight you, making you question your own reality or sanity. Cognitive reframing gives you the power to step back and remind yourself that this isn't about you. It's their issue, not yours. By mentally reframing their actions as a reflection of their struggles, you begin to protect your emotional strength and detach from their toxicity. The next strategy is one that may sound counterintuitive at first. Practice forgiveness, but not for their sake. Do it for your own peace. Forgiveness isn't about excusing their behavior or pretending nothing happened. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight that comes with holding on to anger, resentment, and hatred. The hard truth is that when you hold on to these negative emotions, you're only hurting yourself. Think about it. While you're still stewing over how someone wronged you, they've likely moved on with their life, while you remain stuck, replaying painful memories over and over again. That anger you hold on to? It's not punishing them, it's only punishing you. This is where Stoicism offers a powerful perspective. Marcus Aurelius taught us that we should forgive not for the sake of others, but for our own peace of mind. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting or excusing. It means releasing the emotional grip they have on you. When you forgive, you stop letting their actions define your mood, happiness, or life. Forgiveness becomes a way to reclaim your power. Start small in your journey toward forgiveness. Instead of immediately trying to forgive someone for a major betrayal, begin by letting go of smaller grievances. the rude comments, the dismissive attitude. You'll be surprised at how much lighter you feel as you practice this. Over time, this will build your emotional resilience and prepare you for bigger challenges. And remember, this is about you, not them. Forgiveness is a powerful act of self-care. By letting go of resentment, you make space for peace, growth, and joy. You evict toxic people from your mental space and free yourself from their influence. Finally, there comes a time when you must walk away. It doesn't matter how long you've known someone or how much history you share with them. When someone consistently disrespects your boundaries, manipulates your emotions, or drains your energy, you need to walk away. Walking away isn't a sign of weakness. It's the ultimate display of self-respect and strength. Toxic people will try to convince you that you're the problem. They'll make you feel guilty for leaving or claim that you didn't fight hard enough to save the relationship. But don't fall for their manipulation. The truth is that you've already given enough of yourself. You've invested enough energy trying to save a relationship that continues to drain you. Now, it's time to prioritize yourself. Imagine being in a toxic romantic relationship where your partner constantly undermines you, insults you, or makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells. No matter how much you love them or how hard you try, nothing will change. The healthiest choice is to walk away. It's not easy. There will be guilt, sadness, and fear of the unknown, but your mental and emotional health are far too important to sacrifice. Walking away is about reclaiming your life. It's about refusing to let toxic people continue to hold power over you. It's a bold declaration that you value yourself enough to choose peace, happiness, and fulfillment. This is your life, and you deserve better than to stay tethered to someone who constantly drags you down. Here's the bottom line. You cannot heal in an environment that makes you sick. If a relationship, whether it's with a partner, friend, or family member, is toxic, it's time to walk away. Not every relationship can be salvaged, and that's okay. Walking away is not giving up. It's choosing to live on your own terms. It's about creating space for healthier, more loving relationships to enter your life. You are not obligated to tolerate toxicity, no matter where it comes from. Walking away is not just an act of self-preservation, it's an act of courage. You're choosing to put your well-being ahead of someone else's dysfunction. This is the greatest gift you can give yourself. In conclusion, dealing with toxic people is undoubtedly one of the most challenging experiences, but it can also be one of the most empowering. By applying these Stoic-inspired strategies, identifying toxic behavior, setting boundaries, mastering non-reaction, practicing forgiveness, and ultimately walking away, you can regain control of your emotional and mental health. Remember, you are not responsible for fixing toxic people, and you don't owe them your peace or your energy. You are responsible for yourself, and that is your greatest power. These principles will not only protect you from toxic people, but also help you grow into the best, strongest version of yourself. You deserve relationships that nurture you, not ones that drain you. With these strategies, peace is something you can achieve, no matter how toxic the people around you may be. If this video resonated with you and you found these insights valuable, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I am dedicated to helping people break free from toxic relationships and live healthier, happier lives. And if you're in a position to support the channel further, consider joining our channel memberships. Every membership helps us continue to create content that empowers people like you to take control of their lives and find peace in a world full of chaos. When we think about the noise that fills our minds, it's those endless inner dialogues that immediately come to the forefront. The worries, the fears, the endless what-ifs, they occupy every mental corner until, without even realizing it, we become entangled in a cycle that holds us captive. This cycle often paralyzes us, especially in today's world where distractions are constant and life's demands feel overwhelming. Calming the mind has become an enormous challenge. And this is exactly where Stoicism steps in, not just as a tool for enduring hardship, but as a reliable guide through the storm of mental chaos. Stoicism, at its heart, is about more than simply enduring adversity. It's about navigating life with a sense of serenity and a clear, composed mind. Picture your mind as a vast ocean. At times, it is serene and still. At other times, it's as though the waves of chaos and confusion are crashing all around, threatening to consume you. How do you stay afloat in such turbulent waters? How do you find that deep sense of calm you yearn for when everything outside seems to pull you into the storm? This is where 8 straightforward Stoic strategies come in. Tools not rooted in quick fixes or magical thinking, but in principles that ancient wise men lived by daily. These same principles can be applied in our lives today, even though our world looks drastically different. Let's begin with accepting reality as it is, without resistance. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is the radical acceptance of reality just as it presents itself. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and in those moments our minds tend to overflow with frustration, anger, or sadness. But instead of fighting what cannot be changed, the Stoic path encourages us to accept things exactly as they are. Seneca put it perfectly when he said that fate leads those who accept it and drags those who resist. It's this inner resistance to what happens that creates immense psychological distress. Think about how many times you found yourself stressed over something that had already occurred, or felt upset about a situation not unfolding as you had hoped. We resist reality because we want it to be different, and that desire alone generates constant inner tension. It's like rowing against the current, using up all your energy fighting what already is. Accepting reality doesn't mean giving up or resigning to the idea that things can never improve. Rather, it means understanding that there are moments in life that lie beyond our control. Stoic acceptance is about releasing the inner resistance that drains us, and once we do that, the mind begins to relax. It's like ceasing to wrestle with reality and instead learning to move with it. Many times, we hesitate to accept unpleasant situations because we fear that acceptance means we're okay with them, or that we're allowing them to affect us without protest. But in truth, acceptance is about creating mental space. When you accept what's happening, you remove its power to dominate your emotions. From that calm space, you gain clarity and can make better decisions. Here's a simple example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic and realize you're going to be late for a very important meeting. You have 2 choices. You can mentally resist the situation, curse the traffic, feel overwhelmed and angry, which changes absolutely nothing. Or you can accept where you are, recognize there's nothing you can do to change it in that moment, and shift into a calmer state. The first reaction fills your mind with unnecessary noise. The second gives you the mental peace to handle the situation as effectively as possible. Acceptance is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Each time you encounter something beyond your control, remember Seneca's wisdom. Ask yourself, Am I letting this situation drag me down, or am I allowing it to guide me? By accepting what cannot be changed, you reduce mental friction, and that inner tension begins to dissolve. Marcus Aurelius understood this principle well when he wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." If we constantly resist change, we set ourselves up for continual frustration. But if we embrace change as a part of life, we unlock a surprising sense of peace. Life isn't defined solely by what happens around us, but by how we choose to interpret and respond to those events. Accepting what is, without resistance, is one of the most powerful ways to bring calm to the mind. It frees you from the torment of wishing things were different, allowing you to redirect your focus toward what truly matters, your mindset and your response. Next comes practicing full presence, mindfulness in the now. This is where Stoicism reveals its true transformative power. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most well-known philosopher-emperors, wrote in his Meditations that people waste away when they allow their minds to drift through the past or the future. The present, he reminds us, is the only moment we truly possess. And although this idea sounds simple, it can profoundly change how we experience life. Why? Because the mind has a habit of traveling back and forth, reliving the past or worrying about the future. We replay moments, wondering why we said certain things or wishing we had acted differently. We worry about outcomes that haven't even happened, wondering, what if I fail? Or what if things go wrong? This constant mental tug-of-war exhausts us. It generates anxiety. It robs us of inner peace. The Stoic solution is to anchor ourselves in the present. The present is all that truly exists. It is the only moment over which we have any real influence. Everything else, our memories, our anticipations, is just mental projection. The more time we spend mentally elsewhere, the further we drift from clarity and peace. Practicing mindfulness, what we now commonly call being present, means returning your attention again and again to what is happening right now. It doesn't mean ignoring the past or avoiding thoughts of the future, but it does mean becoming aware of when you're lost in them and gently guiding your mind back to the here and now. This is a practice. At first, it can feel unnatural because our minds are so conditioned to wander. But the more we practice, the more we begin to feel the incredible power of presence. Think about those moments when you're completely immersed in something, whether it's a captivating book, an engaging conversation, or even a simple meal enjoyed without distractions. During those times, your mind is calm. There are no worries, no regrets, no fears, just pure awareness. That's the core of this strategy. A practical way to start is by paying close attention to your breath. When your thoughts begin spiraling into the past or future, pause. Take a few deep breaths. Focus on the sensation of air moving in and out of your body. This simple act can ground you in the moment. Marcus Aurelius also advised us to focus on what's in front of us, to give our full attention to the task at hand. When you train your mind to return to the present, something extraordinary happens. The mental noise begins to fade. The thoughts may still be there, but they no longer control you with the same force. In the present moment, there is no room for regrets or anxiety, only awareness of what you're doing right now. And that awareness brings a sense of calm and clarity that's hard to find anywhere else. The practice of mindfulness is what breaks the endless mental loops that fill your mind with unnecessary chatter. By returning again and again to the present, you discover that this moment, just as it is enough. And in that realization, peace begins to grow. Now let's explore emotional detachment. This is one of those powerful Stoic tools that, once truly understood, can completely reshape how you perceive life. But we must be clear, emotional detachment in the Stoic sense doesn't mean becoming cold or distant. On the contrary, it's about loving deeply and committing fully, but doing so without letting your happiness or inner peace depend on outcomes that lie beyond your control. Seneca expressed this well when he said, "Love, but love as one who knows it won't last forever." At first glance, that might sound harsh, but the purpose behind this teaching is liberating. When we grow too emotionally attached to something, a person, a possession, or even a cherished dream, we set ourselves up for suffering. Life changes, circumstances shift, and when they do, it's that very attachment that creates our pain. Emotional detachment is not about caring less. It's about holding things, people, and outcomes more lightly. It's recognizing that all things are temporary and that true peace comes from within, not from external conditions. Detachment doesn't weaken your love, it strengthens your resilience. Because you can love, you can care, and you can commit, while still remembering that nothing is guaranteed to remain the same. The moment we release the need to control or cling, we begin to free ourselves from the emotional chaos that drains us. This is the Stoic way of loving fully while standing firm within yourself, being engaged with life, yet not enslaved by its inevitable changes. Practicing emotional detachment doesn't mean withdrawing from life. It actually means engaging with life more deeply. It's about cherishing what you have and valuing your relationships without becoming so attached that your happiness feels dependent on them. Think about how often you've experienced anxiety or emotional distress simply because you feared losing something, a job, a relationship, a dream opportunity. That sense of emotional dependency generates fear, and when life doesn't unfold the way we hoped, suffering becomes inevitable. But detachment isn't about cold indifference. It's about liberating yourself from the grip that external outcomes have over your inner peace. The Stoics believed that it's entirely possible to love and appreciate something deeply while simultaneously recognizing its impermanence. When you cultivate this kind of emotional detachment, your mind begins to quiet down. You're no longer tormented by the fear of losing what you hold dear. You begin to live in the present, grateful but grounded, fully aware that nothing is guaranteed to last forever. Consider a common, everyday example: attachment to material possessions. Imagine owning a car you absolutely love. It's perfectly fine to care for it and enjoy it. But if you become overly emotionally attached, something as small as a scratch or mechanical issue can throw off your entire day or even your week. Practicing detachment would mean saying, "I value this car, but I understand that it is just a possession. If I lose it tomorrow, I'll still be okay." This mindset doesn't just ease your anxiety, it shifts your entire perspective, allowing you to relate to your belongings in a healthier, more balanced way. Epictetus offered powerful wisdom on this subject when he said, "Never say of anything, 'I have lost it,' but 'I have returned it.'" The idea is simple yet transformative. Nothing truly belongs to us forever. Everything is part of the natural cycle of life. Rather than seeing a loss as something being taken from you, see it as something returning to where it came from. Adopting this mindset radically changes how you process and respond to loss, whether it's something big or something small. As you begin to live with emotional detachment, you'll find that the situations which once filled you with anxiety and stress begin to lose their intensity. It doesn't mean you've become indifferent. It means you no longer give those situations the power to dictate your peace of mind. You begin to understand that true happiness and lasting calm come from within, not from what you possess or who surrounds you. Detachment opens the door to incredible mental freedom. When you're no longer emotionally tethered to outcomes, you can fully enjoy the moment, free from the constant dread of loss. And it is within that space of freedom that real peace is found. Reflecting on your day, every single day, is another practice the Stoics deeply valued. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, would write down his thoughts, reflect on his actions, and analyze how he dealt with the challenges of his day. This wasn't just a ritual, it was a tool for growth and clarity. He encouraged himself and us to take an honest inventory at the end of the day. What did I do well? What could I have done better? What lessons can I carry into tomorrow? This habit of daily reflection is one of the most effective ways to soothe the mind and steer it toward constant improvement. Why? Because our minds are often overwhelmed, not only by the chaos of the world around us, but also by our own lack of self-awareness. When we don't take time to pause and examine our thoughts and behaviors, we fall into autopilot. We repeat the same mistakes, react in the same patterns, and often don't know why we feel stuck. Daily reflection is your opportunity to hit the pause button, to look within, and to regain control of your thoughts and actions. Imagine that before going to sleep, you spend a few quiet minutes revisiting your day. It's not about harsh self-criticism, it's about curiosity and honesty. How did you handle challenging moments? Were there times you remained calm? Did you make decisions you feel proud of? This nightly habit doesn't just help you correct your missteps, it also helps you recognize your victories. In a world that moves fast, we rarely take time to appreciate the good choices we make or the wisdom we apply in our daily lives. But acknowledging those moments, when you stayed patient, spoke kindly, or took courageous action, builds confidence and reinforces your inner calm. Seneca also emphasized this habit of nightly self-assessment. He advised us to judge ourselves at the end of the day. Write it all down, examine your words and thoughts, because each day is like a miniature lifetime. When you do this, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself and can make intentional adjustments when things don't go as planned. This practice doesn't only illuminate your flaws, it also magnifies your small but meaningful achievements. These moments become anchors for your peace of mind, building resilience and a steady, balanced inner life. The idea is simple. Every night, take a few minutes to think about your day. You might even want to keep a journal, just like Marcus Aurelius did. Journaling helps you organize your thoughts and provides a space to let go of lingering worries before bedtime. It's a method for clearing your mental clutter, promoting restful sleep, and beginning the next day with clarity and calm. A useful practice is to ask yourself 3 questions each night. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? And how can I improve tomorrow? These reflections train you to live more mindfully and to close each day with purpose. Over time, this habit becomes a powerful cycle of self-awareness and continuous personal growth. When practiced consistently, daily reflection helps you correct mistakes, reinforce wise decisions, and keep your focus on what truly matters. It gives you a sense of control over your emotions and your life, which naturally reduces stress and anxiety. If you're finding value in this message, consider liking and subscribing to the channel for more insights on calming your mind with the wisdom of Stoicism. Your support means a lot. Another vital Stoic lesson is to control your thoughts. Don't let them control you. The Stoics deeply understood that the root of a disturbed and anxious mind isn't the events themselves, but how we interpret those events. Epictetus put it perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it. This phrase captures the profound truth that while we can't always control our external circumstances, we can absolutely control how we respond to them, and that response begins with our thoughts. Your mind is like a garden. If left untended, weeds, negative thoughts, worries and fears can quickly overrun it. It's incredibly easy to let negative thoughts spiral out of control. One small setback or mistake can turn into a flood of self-critical or catastrophic thinking. Everything's going wrong. I'll never fix this. I'm a failure. These thoughts generate chaos and unnecessary mental noise. The Stoic approach teaches us to observe our thoughts from a distance, as if we were an outside observer. You don't need to believe everything your mind tells you. Epictetus also reminded us that men are not disturbed by things, but by the opinion they have of them. This insight urges us to pause and question the automatic thoughts that cause us distress. Is this situation really as bad as I'm making it out to be? Is there another way to see this? To control your thoughts doesn't mean suppressing them. It means examining them, challenging them, and gently steering them in a more constructive direction. When your mind starts filling with negative or overwhelming thoughts, ask yourself, is this thought helping me, or is it making things worse? If the answer is that it's making things worse, then you have the power to shift your focus, to choose a thought that serves you better. This is where the Stoics introduce the concept of the discipline of thought, a mental habit developed through consistent practice. It's about training your mind not to be dominated by unchecked thinking. Think of your mind like a wild horse. At first, it may be unruly and hard to control, but with patience and dedication, you can learn to guide it where you want it to go. One practical technique is the Stoic art of reframing. When you catch yourself falling into a negative or stressful thought pattern, take a step back. Try to reinterpret the situation in a way that gives you perspective, strength, or calm. This is how you reclaim control of your inner world, and by doing so, you protect your peace, clarity, and power. For instance, if you're dealing with a difficult issue at work, instead of telling yourself, "I'll never be able to fix this," try shifting your perspective to something like, "This is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to grow and learn." Doing this helps to weaken the grip of negative thinking and brings a sense of calm to your mind. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, spoke often about the importance of managing our inner thoughts. He once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," which reminds us that the content of our thoughts shapes the emotional tone of our lives. If your mind is filled with gloom and negativity, your world will feel the same. But if you learn to guide your thoughts in a more constructive and reasoned direction, your inner world begins to shift toward calm and clarity. Gaining control over your thoughts not only quiets the mental noise, but also deepens your self-awareness. You begin to understand that your reactions are within your control, and that realization is deeply liberating. You may not be able to change the events around you, but you can always change the story you tell yourself about them. Make it a point to take purposeful pauses throughout your day. One of the most effective ways to calm your mind is by intentionally learning to stop and breathe. In our modern world, we're constantly bombarded with stimuli, notifications, messages, emails, social media, and endless tasks. Without even realizing it, We get swept up in this relentless pace, where the idea of taking a break feels almost like a waste of time or a luxury we can't afford. But the Stoics offer a different perspective. To them, pausing isn't optional. It's essential for keeping the mind focused and grounded. Marcus Aurelius emphasized this idea, saying that people often seek peace in faraway retreats by the sea or in the mountains, but the most important place to retreat to is within yourself. His words invite us to make room for introspection amid the daily hustle and noise. You don't have to wait for a vacation or a weekend away to find peace. You can cultivate it right now, simply by giving yourself permission to stop. These pauses matter because when we keep pushing forward without rest, our minds become overloaded. We lose efficiency, our patience wears thin, and our thoughts grow more scattered. Short breaks, even just a few minutes long, allow your mind to decompress. It's like hitting a mental reset button, giving your brain the space it needs to recharge. You can apply a Stoic technique by practicing conscious pausing. Several times a day, take a few moments to stop what you're doing. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and sit quietly. You don't need to do anything elaborate. Just be present with yourself. Even a brief pause like this can have a profound effect on your state of mind. It soothes the inner chatter and brings you back into the moment. Intentional pauses also increase your awareness. Rather than reacting automatically to what's happening around you, you gain the space to respond with greater thoughtfulness. Epictetus encouraged this habit, advising that in moments of difficulty, we should pause before we act. That brief moment of reflection helps you settle your emotions and choose your response more deliberately. For example, if you're overwhelmed at work, either from a heavy workload or a tense conversation, don't allow stress to take over. Pause, breathe deeply, and give yourself a moment to refocus. Rather than being swept up by emotion, you regain your center and respond with clarity. These breaks also give you a chance to reconnect with your inner self. We often lose sight of our own needs as we chase deadlines and meet others' expectations. Taking a break is a small but meaningful act of self-care. It lets you check in with how you're feeling and what your mind and body need. Though simple, this practice can have a huge impact on your emotional well-being. Another powerful way to calm the mind is by cultivating gratitude, especially for the small things. Gratitude is a remarkably effective yet often overlooked practice. The Stoics understood that being grateful isn't just about being polite. It's a mental discipline that can radically shift how you see your life. Seneca captured this beautifully when he said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." In other words, much of our unhappiness comes not from what we lack, but from our obsession with always wanting more. The noise in our minds often grows from this insatiable desire to achieve more, to become more, to acquire more. We live in a culture that constantly tells us we're not enough, and that happiness lies somewhere out there in the future. This mindset keeps us in a state of chronic dissatisfaction and restlessness. But gratitude shifts that focus. When you begin to appreciate what you already have, no matter how small, you quiet that endless craving. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your problems or settling for less. It means retraining your mind to recognize the good that's already present in your life. The Stoics believed that by practicing this regularly, you lessen the volume of your discontent and find deeper inner peace. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." One practical way to begin is by spending a few minutes each day reflecting on what you're thankful for. It doesn't need to be anything extraordinary. It could be something as simple as a roof over your head, a meaningful conversation with a friend, or a cup of warm coffee in the morning. When you start acknowledging these things consciously, your entire perspective begins to change, and with it, your mind begins to quiet. Think of it this way. When you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, instead of fixating on what's missing, redirect your thoughts to what's already present. For example, if you're anxious about money, rather than obsessing over what you lack, you could reflect on what you've already accomplished, the opportunities you've been given, or even just the fact that you have food to eat and clothes to wear. While this doesn't magically erase your problems, it does lift you out of the spiral of negative thoughts that fuel anxiety. It brings you back to clarity. Gratitude also transforms how you relate to others. Often, we focus on how people let us down or what they fail to do, which builds resentment and emotional noise. But when you start appreciating even the small things that people do, your relationships improve and you feel more at ease. Ultimately, gratitude is a way of recognizing that even though life may not be perfect, there is always something to be thankful for. Seneca also emphasized that gratitude should not remain an internal feeling, it should be shared. Letting others know that you appreciate them strengthens your connections and adds a sense of harmony to your mental environment. Learning to release the past is also crucial for mental clarity. One of the most persistent sources of inner turmoil is our attachment to past events, whether it's mistakes we've made, missed chances, or painful experiences. Our minds can easily get stuck in loops, rehashing things we can no longer change. This habit creates unnecessary emotional weight, but the Stoics were clear about how we should approach the past. Epictetus advised us to remember that what has already happened is beyond our control, but how we respond to it now is entirely within our power. Letting go of the past doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means accepting it for what it was and recognizing that we no longer have the ability to alter it. The past is fixed. Spending energy on regrets or what-ifs only creates more anxiety and stress. By learning to release these thoughts, you give your mind space to find peace. Clinging to the past is like carrying a backpack full of heavy stones. Each regret, each painful memory, each mistake is another burden. Eventually, that weight becomes so overwhelming that it robs you of your ability to fully experience and enjoy the present moment. Stoicism invites us to drop that weight, not out of denial, but out of acceptance. When you stop carrying the emotional baggage of the past, you begin to walk more lightly, more freely, and with a mind that is clearer and more at peace. Stoicism teaches us a powerful lesson: to release the weight we carry from the past. It encourages us to drop that emotional backpack, to take the lessons from our mistakes without allowing them to imprison us. Seneca captured this truth beautifully when he said we must not let the past rob us of the present. And that's exactly what happens when we cling to what's already gone. We lose our ability to be fully present, to live completely in the now. Every time our thoughts spiral into regrets, I should have done this, or I shouldn't have said that, we are squandering the precious opportunity to experience peace and clarity in the current moment. So, how do we truly let go of the past? One of the first steps is to reflect on what keeps us emotionally tied to that memory. Is it a decision we regret? A situation that turned out differently than we hoped? Ask yourself honestly, can I change this now? If the answer is no, then it's time to release it. Letting go doesn't mean pretending the event never happened, nor does it mean we ignore the lessons it brought. But once we've absorbed the insight, there is no benefit in carrying the emotional weight any further. Forgiveness becomes essential in this process, not only towards others, but also towards ourselves. Often, we are our own harshest critics. The things we struggle to let go of are usually our own past mistakes. But this is where Stoic wisdom offers comfort and clarity. We cannot go back and undo what was done. However, we do have the power to stop letting it control us. When we practice self-forgiveness, we lift the heavy burden of guilt and allow our minds the space to breathe, to rest. Epictetus wisely reminded us that learning is impossible if we are not willing to let go of our past errors. Holding on keeps us stuck in a cycle of regret. And if we continue to live in that space, replaying what went wrong, we block ourselves from moving forward into all the good we are still capable of. True learning emerges from acknowledging and accepting our failures, not from obsessing over them. A helpful exercise in this journey of release is visualization. Imagine those painful memories, those regrets, as if they were balloons in your hands. See yourself slowly letting them go, one by one, watching them drift further and further into the sky until they disappear into the distance. The goal isn't to erase them completely from your memory, but to stop gripping them so tightly. This simple act of imagination can lift a weight from your spirit and bring a sense of lightness, as if you are finally free from the emotional pressure those memories once held over you. Gratitude also plays a healing role in letting go. When you focus on appreciation for the people in your life or for what those past experiences taught you, you shift your energy. Gratitude nurtures your relationships and soothes your mind by fostering a space of positivity and peace. It reminds you that life isn't only about the things that went wrong, it's also about the growth that came from them and the love that still surrounds you. Ever get the feeling that you're surrounded by performers? I know I have. People put on facades every single day, acting like something they're not. But here's where it gets interesting. Once you train yourself to see beyond the surface, to catch the subtleties, everything changes. You start noticing the inconsistencies, the hesitation, the mismatched body language. I remember being in a meeting once where everyone was all smiles and polite nods, but beneath that polished surface, I sensed unspoken tension, hidden motives. It wasn't just in their words, it was in their stillness, their pauses, even the way their feet pointed toward the door. Once you start noticing these things, you can't unsee them. It's like having a new lens on the world. Want to learn how to see past the mask? Let's get into it. Let me introduce you to a deceptively simple but powerful method I like to call the "tell me more" approach. It's not flashy. It doesn't come with a cape or dramatic music, but it works like magic. The beauty of it is that most people don't even realize you're doing anything at all. All you do is stay calm, relaxed, and when someone is passionately explaining their side of things, no matter what it's about, you resist the urge to jump in, to argue, to correct them. Instead, you simply say, "Tell me more." I discovered this years ago during a heated debate with a friend over whether pineapple belonged on pizza. Yeah, that old classic. I had my arguments lined up, ready to go. But something told me to pause, so instead of clapping back, I just leaned in and said, "Tell me more." And what unfolded was completely unexpected. What began as a light-hearted food debate suddenly turned into a story about their childhood, about family dinners, and a deep-rooted dislike of pineapple tied to a bizarre childhood memory. It stopped being about pizza. It became a journey into their emotional world. Here's what I learned. When people feel genuinely heard, their defenses drop. They no longer feel like they're in a battle or on trial. Instead, they open up. They start revealing far more than they initially intended. You give them a sense of safety, a space where they don't feel judged or rushed. And in that space, people reveal their fears, their hopes, their insecurities, their dreams, sometimes without even realizing it. I've used this in work meetings, in tense conversations with friends, and even with people I knew were being dishonest. There was one time during a business negotiation where instead of pushing my ideas, I just kept saying, "Tell me more." By the end of the conversation, the other side had inadvertently laid all their cards on the table. They shared their concerns, their urgency, even the weaknesses in their plan, all because I listened. I didn't have to force anything. They gave it away. But here's the bigger picture. It's not just a clever tactic. It's about connection. In a world where everyone is rushing to be heard, to be understood, the simple act of listening, truly listening, has become incredibly rare. When you say, "Tell me more," you're showing empathy without attachment, something Stoic philosophy holds dear. You're not trying to manipulate or win. You're just observing, understanding, being fully present. It's not just about gathering information. It's about seeing people for who they really are. So next time you find yourself in a conversation, whether it's casual, intense, or somewhere in between, try it. Say those 3 words. Let them speak. You'll be surprised by how much they reveal, how deep the connection becomes, and how clear things get without ever needing to press or pry. It's in that quiet understanding that real trust is built. And in the process, you'll find that by seeing others more clearly, you begin to see yourself more clearly too. If you really want to understand someone's true nature, don't just look at how they treat you. Look at how they treat people they consider beneath them. This might sting a little because it uncovers a harsh reality about human behavior. Whether it's how they speak to a waiter, a cashier, or a junior co-worker, how someone interacts with those who hold less power is often the clearest window into their character. I had to learn this the hard way. There was someone I worked with who seemed like a great person. On the surface, they were charming, funny, always respectful in meetings. But one afternoon we went to lunch, and I saw something that changed everything. The moment we sat down, they snapped at the waiter, barking orders, treating him like he was invisible or worse, like he didn't matter. It was jarring. That warmth they showed in professional settings vanished the moment there was nothing to gain. That day I realized this wasn't a rare moment of rudeness. This was who they really were when they thought no one important was paying attention. The truth is, people reveal themselves not when they're under scrutiny, but when they think they're safe from judgment. If someone is kind to you, but cruel to someone they think can't fight back, that's not kindness, that's calculation. It's selective behavior, not real decency. Stoic philosophy encourages us to observe people with clarity, without being swayed by charm or social masks. And this is one of the most reliable indicators of integrity. Kindness should be consistent. True character doesn't shift based on who's watching. When someone has no incentive to be nice and they choose kindness anyway, that's when you know it's genuine. I've started using this as a silent benchmark in my life. Whether it's friends, colleagues, or even someone I'm dating, if they treat everyone with respect, regardless of status, that's a green light. But if they dismiss others just because they can, it tells me everything I need to know. And here's the deeper insight. How someone treats others is often a reflection of how they view themselves. People who are secure in who they are don't need to belittle others to feel important. They don't measure their worth by standing above someone else. But those who do, they're usually trying to mask their own insecurities, propping themselves up by putting others down. It's a fragile power built on arrogance and fear, not real strength. So if you want to see past the surface, stop watching how someone treats the people they want to impress. Start watching how they treat those they think they don't need. That's when the mask slips. That's when you see the real person. If you truly want to understand someone's behavior in the present, you have to consider where they've come from. People like to say, the past is behind us. But the truth is, it's not gone. It's living inside us, influencing our choices, our fears, and our reactions. We are shaped by what we've been through, whether we admit it or not. I had a friend who always seemed tense, easily triggered, overly cautious in relationships. For a long time, I assumed it was just their personality. But as we became closer, the pieces started to fall into place. They had grown up in a household where trust was fragile, where love had strings attached, and where they were constantly made to feel they had to prove their worth. They had also been betrayed in adulthood, by friends, by romantic partners, by people they had counted on. Their guardedness wasn't irrational. It was a defense system built from years of pain. That's the thing about people. We all carry invisible blueprints. The way we act, the things that trigger us, the patterns we fall into again and again, they're often echoes of past experiences. It's not about making excuses for poor behavior. It's about understanding the source. Someone who was abandoned may become clingy in relationships. Someone who was constantly criticized might grow up needing validation. Someone who was used may now have trust issues. These behaviors aren't random. They're protective responses born from pain. Stoicism teaches us to observe reality without adding unnecessary judgment. Part of truly seeing someone involves understanding the experiences that have shaped them. This becomes especially clear in romantic relationships. You might meet someone who seems perfectly fine at first, but over time, patterns begin to reveal themselves. Maybe they're overly jealous or have trouble with commitment. In many cases, if you look deeper, you'll find unresolved wounds from their past relationships. Their current behaviors are often fueled by a fear of being hurt again. Recognizing this doesn't mean you should excuse toxic behavior, but it does give you a clearer picture of where they're coming from. The truth is, many people live out cycles that were set in motion by past experiences. They repeat patterns without even knowing it. Take, for instance, a coworker who constantly craves affirmation. Chances are they're reliving a childhood where they felt like they were never enough. Or a friend who sabotages every relationship they're in. They're likely responding to a deep-seated fear of rejection rooted in past heartbreak. Their actions, habits, and choices often mirror unresolved parts of their earlier life. What's even more powerful is that by understanding someone's past, you not only learn how to better relate to them, but you might also help them recognize and break free from those patterns. If you can gently help them see the behaviors they're repeating, you could help them become more self-aware. That awareness can be the first step toward confronting what they've long avoided. Stoicism values self-examination and continuous improvement, and sometimes understanding where someone comes from allows you to support their growth. It's easy to judge someone based solely on their current actions, but often their past holds the reasons behind those behaviors. When you begin to see actions as responses to personal history, you can respond with empathy while still keeping healthy boundaries to protect yourself from being entangled in their unresolved struggles. In essence, the past is always influencing the present. To truly understand someone, you have to look beyond the current chapter of their life and consider the entire story. Another powerful observation: sudden changes in tone often signal deception or hesitation. One of the most telling signs that someone isn't being completely honest is when their voice shifts unexpectedly. People don't usually notice it themselves, but their tone often betrays what's really going on inside. When someone is confident in what they're saying, their tone is steady, their pace is natural, and their words flow without effort. But when they're lying or uncertain, something changes, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically. It's as if their subconscious is trying to alert you, hoping you'll notice something's off. I remember a co-worker who was always polished and charming, always seemed to have the right words. But once, while talking about a looming project deadline, his usual confident tone shifted. His voice, usually upbeat and smooth, dropped in pitch, and he began to stumble over his words. Immediately, I knew something wasn't right. Later, it turned out he hadn't worked on the project at all and was trying to cover it up. That change in tone gave him away. This happens because when people lie or feel uncomfortable with what they're saying, their minds and bodies go into conflict. While their brain tries to maintain the lie or hide the truth, their body, especially their voice, often betrays the internal stress. This can come out as a higher pitch, a crack in the voice, or a pause that's just a bit too long. It creates a mismatch between their tone and their words. Think about the last time you caught someone lying. How did their voice sound? Did it suddenly drop? Did they speak faster or slower? Sometimes people overcompensate and sound overly cheerful, like they're trying too hard to seem normal. These subtle shifts are subconscious signs of discomfort. They're not always trying to manipulate you. Often, they're struggling with the lie they're telling themselves. The discomfort of that lie leaks into their voice. Stoicism teaches us to observe without judgment, and this is a great example of how powerful that kind of observation can be. By tuning into the way someone speaks, not just what they say, you can sense what's really going on beneath the surface. It's not always about catching a lie. Sometimes it's about sensing hesitation or uncertainty. I had a friend who was always enthusiastic about plans until I suggested something she didn't actually want to do. Her voice would shift from excited to flat, like a switch had been flipped. That was always my cue she wasn't on board, even if she said she was. You'll notice this in all kinds of situations: relationships, business, casual conversations. 1 minute, someone's animated and friendly. The next, they're evasive or defensive. Their words might not change, but their tone does. When that happens, it's time to listen more closely to how they're saying things rather than just the content. There's a deeper Stoic insight here too. People don't just lie to others, they lie to themselves. When their tone shifts, it often reflects that inner discomfort. They're at odds with themselves, and that tension spills out through their voice. Even in our own lives, we've all said things we didn't fully believe and heard our own voices falter. That hesitation, that wavering tone, it's the sound of inner doubt. This is why Stoicism stresses the importance of aligning thoughts, words, and actions. When those three don't match, the imbalance becomes evident, often in ways we don't even realize. So the next time you're in a conversation and notice an unexpected shift in someone's voice, maybe their energy drops, their pitch changes, or there's an awkward pause, don't dismiss it. Ask yourself, what might they be holding back? What are they unsure about? It doesn't always mean they're lying, but it often means they're not being completely honest. perhaps not even with themselves. If you pay attention, their voice will tell you more than their words ever could. And then there's this powerful truth. The most honest moments happen when people think no one is watching. If you really want to understand who someone is at their core, watch how they behave when they believe they're alone. In those moments, people drop the mask they wear for society, the persona they've carefully crafted to gain approval or avoid conflict, and their true nature emerges. It's a difficult truth, because we all like to believe we're the same person in private as we are in public. But often, people act very differently when the spotlight isn't on them. I once worked with a manager who seemed like the model of professionalism. She was courteous, calm, and respectful when the bosses were around. But the moment they left, she turned into someone else entirely, short-tempered, condescending, and dismissive toward the rest of us. It was a jarring shift, and it taught me something important. The version of someone you see when they believe they're being watched isn't necessarily their true self. When people feel they're in the spotlight, they become highly aware of how they're being perceived. They act in ways they think will earn them praise or keep them out of trouble. But once they believe no one's watching, the filters come off. You see their true character in how they treat those who can't benefit them, in how they behave when there's no accountability. These small, quiet moments, when they think no one is paying attention, are where their real values show. This principle is just as relevant in personal relationships. At the start of a romance, people are usually on their best behavior, working to impress each other. But if you want to see who someone really is, observe them during unguarded moments, when they're not trying to impress. How do they treat the waiter at dinner? How do they act when they're frustrated or when they think you're not watching? Do they still show kindness, patience, and respect? Or does their mask slip and reveal something different? I've seen it happen at parties too. Someone might be the center of attention, charming, funny, full of life, but as soon as they think no one's looking, they turn cold or dismissive. Their true self isn't in the spotlight, it's in the shadows. From a Stoic perspective, this makes perfect sense. Stoicism encourages us to observe life and people as they are, without judgment. By paying attention to how someone behaves when they think no one is watching, you gain a much deeper understanding of who they really are. These unguarded moments offer clarity that no performance ever could. Stoicism reminds us that real virtue is not defined by how we act when we're being observed, but by how we behave when no one is there to witness it. The individual who continues to show kindness, patience, and respect without expecting recognition, this is someone who truly embodies Stoic principles. But let's be honest, not everyone operates this way. Many people draw a line between their public persona and their private self. In public, they put on a mask that reflects who they think they should be, often shaped by what they believe will gain approval or status. But in private, their more unpleasant tendencies come to the surface. I once worked with a colleague who seemed like the embodiment of supportiveness and warmth during meetings. He always had an encouraging word, always went the extra mile to appear helpful. But when we were alone, his demeanor would flip entirely. He became curt, dismissive, and showed zero interest in offering support unless there was something in it for him. That contrast revealed that his kindness in public was nothing more than an act. The truth is, people's most honest behaviors appear not when they're in the spotlight, but in those hidden, unguarded moments. Whether they're extending genuine kindness or expressing cruelty, what they do when no one's watching speaks volumes about who they really are. This is the space where true understanding happens. Because if someone can only show goodness when they're being observed, then that goodness is not genuine. It's just a performance. And here's the deeper Stoic insight. Your true character is defined by what you do when no one is watching. That's where integrity lives. As Stoicism teaches, our goal should be to live in alignment with our values at all times, regardless of the setting or the audience. Whether we're surrounded by people or standing alone, our behavior should reflect the same inner principles. A Stoic's actions remain steady because they aren't dependent on external validation. They're rooted in an internal commitment to virtue. When you learn to observe others during their private, unfiltered moments, you gain a deeper understanding of who they are. But more than that, you're reminded of the importance of being consistent yourself. To be authentic, even when there's no one there to praise or reward you. So, if you really want to understand a person, don't get distracted by the show they put on for the world. Instead, pay attention to what they do when the stage is empty. That's where the truth hides. If you want to uncover what truly matters to someone, pay attention to how they react emotionally. Emotional responses are unfiltered expressions of a person's inner world. They act as transparent windows into the values, priorities, and deep-seated beliefs that shape their behavior. This idea may seem unsettling to some because we like to believe we're in control of our feelings, that we can mask what we care about. But the reality is, when someone reacts strongly, whether it's through anger, enthusiasm, or nervousness, it usually reveals something that's deeply significant to them. I remember a situation at work where a generally calm and collected colleague suddenly exploded during what should have been a routine meeting. Someone had proposed a small adjustment to one of his projects, and he reacted with uncharacteristic intensity. At first, it seemed out of proportion, but when I looked deeper, I realized his reaction wasn't really about the proposed change. That project represented something deeply personal to him. He had poured his energy and identity into it. So when someone suggested tweaking it, it felt like a personal attack. His emotional outburst wasn't about the project's logistics. It was about the emotional investment he had in it. That's how emotions give away what people won't say out loud. People often don't verbalize what matters most to them, but their emotional reactions will speak for them. The manager who becomes defensive when their judgment is questioned isn't just trying to assert authority. They may be tying their self-worth to being perceived as competent. The friend who gets overly upset over a small critique might be dealing with a deeper insecurity. On the other hand, when someone lights up with joy and excitement after receiving praise, it shows how much they value recognition, even if they pretend not to. Strong emotional responses, positive or negative, reveal the things people hold close. They might try to appear detached or indifferent in everyday situations, but when something touches a core value, their emotional intensity spikes. This isn't limited to anger or defensiveness either. Sometimes it's joy, eagerness, or passion. Like when someone talks about a hobby or side project with visible excitement, it tells you that it holds a special place in their heart, even if they downplay its significance in words. This principle becomes even more powerful in personal relationships. If your partner gets upset when plans are cancelled, it might not just be about the change. It could reflect how important quality time is to them. If they become animated when discussing a future getaway or a shared dream, it's a sign that shared experiences are one of their top priorities. Emotions are always tied to values. By observing how someone reacts emotionally, you gain a silent but powerful map to their inner world. You don't need them to explain it to you. Their reactions tell you everything. For example, if you point out someone's repeated lateness and they immediately get flustered or angry, that response might be about more than just the observation. It could be that reliability or being seen as dependable is a core part of their identity. They're not just reacting to the comment, they're reacting to a perceived threat to who they believe themselves to be. Stoicism encourages us to observe behavior with calm objectivity, and emotional reactions are some of the most revealing aspects of that behavior. When emotions flare up, it's usually because something valuable is at stake. You can use this insight not only to understand others better, but to approach delicate conversations with more awareness and compassion. If you know what stirs strong emotions in someone, you can speak to them in ways that are more thoughtful and less triggering, ultimately strengthening the relationship. But here's the more personal Stoic lesson. Your emotions tell on you too. When you find yourself having an intense reaction, pause and ask why. Is it because the situation touches on something you truly value? Or is your ego just getting in the way? Are you angry because someone questioned your integrity, or because your image is being challenged? Stoicism invites you to reflect on these moments. When you understand your own emotional patterns, you gain the power to navigate them more wisely. You learn to distinguish between what truly matters and what's just pride or fear. Reading people isn't a superpower. It's simply a skill built on careful observation. Body language, emotional responses, the subtle shifts in tone, all of these are silent but honest expressions of someone's inner truth. Stoicism helps you develop the kind of clarity that sees past the surface and into the heart of what really drives people. But the goal of this insight isn't manipulation, it's wisdom. It's the ability to understand others more deeply, and in doing so, better understand yourself. The more you pay attention to how people move through life, their triggers, joys, fears, and reactions, the more you begin to recognize your own. And in that awareness, you grow. You become more grounded, more empathetic, and more capable of living a life aligned with your values. That's the real gift of observing without judgment. Not just clarity in your relationships, but true growth within yourself. Imagine what it would feel like to live without being dependent on anything or anyone for your emotional stability. Imagine being able to maintain your peace without erupting in anger, without losing control, and without letting someone's words or actions have the power to shatter your mood. It may sound impossible, doesn't it? But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today. What I want to share with you will completely shift the way you view life, not through magic, and certainly not through shallow, positive thinking, but through practical wisdom. This is the same kind of wisdom used by the great Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, who faced life's storms without ever letting go of their calm. Think back to the last time you got upset. Maybe someone disrespected you, broke your trust. Or maybe it was something as simple as heavy traffic that triggered your frustration. What if I told you that all that anger you felt was actually a choice? Yes, a choice. And if you take to heart what I'm about to teach you, you'll find yourself no longer reacting in those same old ways. But there's a secret, a core principle that shifts everything. In this video, I'm going to walk you through that principle step by step. But before we dive in, I want you to take one small but powerful action. Go down to the comment section and write, "I will never again get angry at anything or anyone." This single act marks the beginning of a real transformation. It's the moment you commit, not to me, but to yourself. So let's begin. The first strategy is to accept the flow of life. Life is always moving, like a river with its rises and falls, moments of serenity and moments of storm. The Stoics teach us that when we fight against what's already happening, when we resist the inevitable, we only cause ourselves unnecessary suffering. Why is that? Because resistance places you in a battle you've already lost. On the other hand, acceptance allows you to embrace life as it is, not as you wish it were. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It means recognizing that while you may not have control over external circumstances, you always have control over how you respond and what actions you take. When you fully embrace this mindset, you stop burdening yourself with frustrations that don't serve you. Picture yourself facing an unexpected problem. You can waste energy wondering, why me? Or you can shift your focus to, what can I do right now? Acceptance offers mental clarity, helping you make better decisions and freeing you from emotional suffering. It also involves recognizing that everything in life is temporary. Neither happiness nor sadness lasts forever. This deeper understanding helps you savor the good times without clinging to them, and approach the difficult times knowing they too shall pass. To live in the flow of life is to find peace amid change, understanding that you always have the power to choose how you move forward. The second strategy is to stop judging others. Judging people is like carrying around a heavy backpack filled with stones that don't belong to you. The Stoics remind us that most of our judgments are not really about other people. They're reflections of our own unmet expectations, insecurities, or misunderstandings. Every time you criticize or label someone, you're stepping away from the path of your own personal growth. Think about it. Someone does something that annoys or confuses you. Instead of rushing to judge, pause and ask yourself, do I really know their full story? Do I know what struggles they're facing internally? Most likely, you don't. And adopting this perspective allows you to respond with empathy rather than criticism. Letting go of judgment doesn't mean you excuse harmful behavior. It means you understand that people's actions say more about them than they do about you. This shift in perspective not only brings emotional relief, but also improves your relationships. And here's something powerful. When you stop judging others, you also let go of the fear of being judged yourself. The weight of constantly seeking approval lifts, and with that freedom comes inner peace. Rather than spending your energy criticizing others, use that energy to reflect on how you can grow and improve. We are all imperfect. We are all learning. And when you choose compassion over criticism, you contribute to a more understanding world and release yourself from emotional burdens you don't need to carry. It's in this act of letting go that you find true serenity and clarity to focus on what really matters. Before we continue, I'd truly appreciate it if you could like and share this video so it can reach and help even more people. And if you don't want to miss out on future insights like this one, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Now let's move to the third strategy. Control your mind. Your mind can be your strongest ally or your worst enemy. It all depends on how you train it. The Stoics deeply understood this. Everything begins in the mind. What you think shapes how you feel, and eventually, how you act. If you don't take the reins of your own thoughts, your mind will quickly become overrun with distractions, anxieties, and negativity that dominate your experience. Controlling your mind doesn't mean trying to forcefully block out every unwanted thought. It means learning to guide them. One essential practice is mindful observation. When a negative thought comes up, don't feed it, don't merge with it. Step back, observe it without attachment, and let it pass like a cloud in the sky. Meditation is a powerful way to strengthen this skill. Just a few minutes a day focusing on your breath or silently repeating a calming phrase can build your ability to remain steady in difficult situations. This simple habit enhances your mental strength, allowing you to stay grounded even when life throws challenges your way. By learning to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them, you gradually develop a deeper inner peace. You no longer react impulsively. You respond with awareness. And that is the essence of true emotional mastery. This journey is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about choosing understanding over anger, peace over judgment, and awareness over reactivity. The more you live by these principles, the more freedom you will experience, not just from others, but from your own internal storms. And that, my friend, is how you begin to live with real strength and serenity. Facing challenging situations while learning to train your mind to focus on what truly matters helps you avoid distractions and boosts your productivity. Another key principle from Stoic philosophy is the importance of questioning your thoughts. Not everything that runs through your mind is a reflection of truth. When you catch yourself expecting the worst or worrying about things outside of your control, take a step back and ask yourself, is this thought helping me or harming me? More often than not, you'll discover that you can replace that thought with one that is more constructive and positive. When you gain control over your mind, you also take command of your emotions and reactions. Regardless of what's happening around you, you will always have the power to remain calm and stay focused. Remember, mastering your mind is the foundational step to mastering your life. Another powerful strategy is to let go of the illusion of a perfect world. The world isn't perfect, and expecting it to be will only lead to constant frustration. The Stoics understood that mistakes, setbacks, and difficulties are not only inevitable, but an essential part of human existence. When you stop resisting this truth, you unlock a deep and endless reservoir of peace and clarity. Picture a moment when someone makes a mistake that negatively affects you. Your initial response might be anger or disappointment. But what if you saw that mistake instead as a chance to practice patience and compassion? This shift in perception doesn't just lighten your emotional burden, it also deepens and strengthens your relationships. Accepting imperfection also involves surrendering the need to control everything. No one has the power to eliminate every problem or ensure that things always go according to plan. Rather than wasting energy trying to change what cannot be changed, focus on what you can control, your mindset and your choices. Acceptance does not mean giving up or settling. It means choosing to improve yourself and your world without the unrealistic expectation that everything must be flawless. The real lesson is in finding peace amidst imperfection, both in others and within yourself. When you embrace this mindset, you free yourself from chronic frustration and the stress of impossible standards. In its place, you gain the ability to enjoy the present and meet life's challenges with wisdom and composure. Another transformative Stoic strategy is to take full responsibility for your emotions. Your feelings are not caused by other people or external circumstances. They arise directly from how you interpret and react to those situations. This Stoic teaching is powerful because it hands control of your emotional life back to you. Instead of placing blame on others or events, it encourages self-reflection and personal responsibility. Imagine someone says something hurtful to you. In that moment, you have two choices. You can let their words disturb your peace and react with anger or sadness, Or you can recognize that their opinion doesn't define your worth or control your inner calm. The key is to remember that no one can make you feel a certain way without your permission. Owning your emotions also involves letting go of the need for outside validation. Often, our negative feelings stem from unmet expectations. We want others to behave in specific ways or meet certain standards. But when you realize that those expectations are yours alone and not obligations for others to fulfill, you liberate yourself from unnecessary disappointment. This doesn't mean you should suppress how you feel. Instead, it's about understanding your emotions and managing them in a healthier way. If you're feeling frustrated rather than blaming someone else, ask yourself, what thought or belief is fueling this emotion? This act of self-inquiry helps you uncover and challenge the internal narratives that are affecting your mood. When you take ownership of your emotions, you become the author of your inner experience. No matter what's happening outside of you, you always hold the power to choose your response. Practicing this daily doesn't just bring inner peace, it also improves the quality of your relationships and allows for deeper emotional connection. Never forget, your emotional well-being is your own responsibility. The final strategy is to master the art of not reacting. Not every situation in life demands an immediate response. In today's world, we're often expected to react quickly, to reply, to act, to make decisions without pause. But true strength lies in the ability to wait, to breathe, to pause. Practicing the pause, a brief but mighty moment before you speak or act, is a valuable tool. It helps you reclaim control over your emotions and actions. When you're provoked by criticism, disagreement, or a difficult situation, your first impulse may come from raw emotion. Acting on that impulse can lead to misunderstandings, regrets, or escalation. On the other hand, if you pause, you give yourself the space to assess the situation with clarity. You quiet the emotional noise and choose a response rooted in wisdom. The art of not reacting doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing your emotions. Instead, it means giving them room to be acknowledged and understood before you respond. This habit nurtures patience, self-control, and inner wisdom. It transforms your words and actions into tools that build and uplift, rather than weapons that harm or destroy. Taking that pause also communicates a quiet strength to those around you. It shows that you are not easily manipulated or provoked. It demonstrates that your peace is not up for grabs. When you demonstrate that you're not easily manipulated and can stay grounded even in difficult or high-pressure situations, you're revealing a deep level of emotional maturity and inner resilience. It's a powerful sign that you know who you are and that you can remain centered no matter what's happening around you. Keep in mind that you don't always have to defend yourself, explain your actions, or respond to every provocation. Sometimes, silence speaks louder than any argument. It can be the most profound and impactful response. By learning to choose your words and your battles wisely, you can completely transform how you relate to others and how you perceive life itself. Cultivating the ability to pause before reacting gives you the space to access your higher self, the version of you that responds with wisdom instead of impulse. Within that pause lies the strength to act from clarity, and in that clarity, true power is found. Strategy 7 is about embracing daily gratitude. Gratitude holds the remarkable power to deeply shift the way you experience your life. In a world that constantly urges you to focus on what you're lacking, practicing daily gratitude helps you become more aware of what you already possess. It invites a radical shift in perspective, one that centers on fullness instead of deficiency. The key is to make gratitude a consistent habit, not just an occasional reflection. Each day, take a few minutes to acknowledge 3 things that you're thankful for. These don't have to be grand accomplishments. They can be small, everyday blessings, like a friend's kind smile or the sunshine breaking through after a storm. The goal is to focus your mind on the things that bring you peace and joy rather than dwelling on negativity or scarcity. This simple daily habit allows you to view the world through a more appreciative and peaceful lens, recognizing the abundance that already surrounds you. Gratitude not only fosters inner peace, but it also elevates your relationships by helping you truly value the people and experiences that you might otherwise overlook. By practicing gratitude daily, you cultivate a mindset rooted in abundance rather than lack. The more you train yourself to be thankful, the more reasons you'll begin to find for continued thankfulness. This generates a powerful and expansive cycle of positivity. Gratitude directly enhances your emotional well-being by reducing stress, easing anxiety, and alleviating frustration. It reconnects you with a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment. Embracing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring life's difficulties. It means seeking out the light, even in moments of darkness. Making gratitude a daily ritual is a simple practice, but one with immense transformative power. When you focus on the blessings already present in your life, you change the way you live, creating a more fulfilled and conscious existence. Strategy 8 encourages you to focus your attention on what you can control. Life is inherently uncertain, filled with elements that lie outside your reach. You cannot control the weather, other people's opinions, or rewrite the past. However, there is one thing that remains firmly within your power: your own thoughts, emotions, and actions. When you shift your energy toward what is within your control, you liberate yourself from the exhaustion and frustration that come from trying to change the unchangeable. The first step is acknowledging that much of the anxiety and stress you experience stems from fixating on things you can't influence, worrying about the future, dwelling on how others perceive you, or replaying past mistakes. These mental habits distance you from the present, robbing you of the ability to respond wisely to what's happening right now. Instead of obsessing over what's out of your hands, redirect your focus toward what you can influence. You hold power over your choices, your responses to situations, and how you face the challenges before you. You can decide how to react to adversity, how to extract lessons from your mistakes, and how to grow stronger through hardship. When you concentrate on what is within your control, you take the reins of your life. You become the foundation of your own peace and emotional stability, no longer relying on external conditions to feel balanced or secure. This mindset allows you to develop greater resilience. Rather than resisting what cannot be changed, you learn to adapt, to navigate life from a place of calm awareness and intentional action. Remember that your energy is limited. Don't waste it on battles that are not yours to fight. Instead, invest it in what is truly within your sphere of influence. By doing so, you will begin to live with greater mindfulness, focus, and inner serenity. Strategy 9 is to practice empathy. Empathy is among the most transformative and powerful abilities you can develop when it comes to building meaningful relationships and resolving conflict. Every person you meet is carrying invisible burdens, personal struggles often hidden behind the faces they present to the world. Before letting frustration or anger take over in difficult interactions, pause for a moment and consider what the other person might be going through. Practicing empathy doesn't mean that you have to agree with someone else's point of view, But it does mean making a sincere effort to understand where they're coming from, their feelings, their life situation, their unique challenges. When you encounter conflict, rather than reacting impulsively, ask yourself, what might this person be feeling right now? What kind of struggles or worries might be influencing their behavior? This conscious effort to understand others allows you to look beneath the surface and respond from a place of compassion rather than judgment. Empathy softens anger and dissolves tension because it fosters deeper human connection. By seeing beyond the immediate situation, you open a path toward resolution and healing. You free yourself from the constant urge to prove a point or assert your own perspective. Instead, you begin to strengthen both your personal and professional relationships. Practicing empathy also nurtures patience and tolerance, helping you recognize that every person has their own journey, their own history, and their own pain. This awareness allows you to respond with greater calmness and grace. By cultivating empathy, you not only become more understanding, you also create space for more peaceful, authentic interactions in your life. Reacting with calmness and constructiveness rather than escalating a conflict allows for resolution through greater understanding and mutual respect. When you practice empathy, you not only improve your own well-being, but also positively impact those around you, fostering a more conscious, connected, and humane environment. By making empathy a central part of your daily life, you contribute to creating a more harmonious and supportive atmosphere. Another key lesson is to embrace the transient nature of life. Nothing in this world is permanent. People, moments, and emotions are fleeting. Everything is in a constant state of change, and when you accept this transience, you cultivate a profound appreciation for the present. Instead of holding on to the past or fearing the future, you learn to savor the here and now. Recognizing the impermanence of life also helps free your heart and mind from unnecessary emotional burdens, such as resentment and anger. Although these emotions are natural, they intensify when we cling to past situations. By understanding that all things end, you can release these negative feelings more easily, making it easier to move forward without carrying the weight of the unchangeable. Embracing life's transience also gives you the flexibility to adapt more easily to changing circumstances, offering a greater sense of peace. You come to see that pain, like joy, is temporary. By accepting impermanence, you learn to cherish what you have in the moment, appreciating the beauty in the everyday moments that often go unnoticed. Instead of living in constant anticipation of the future or regret for the past, you learn to live fully in the present, accepting life's ebb and flow with calmness. Another important insight is to practice love and gratitude. Anger is a destructive force that consumes from within, but love and gratitude are the antidotes. This isn't about empty sentimentality, but about adopting a true philosophy of life. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, when you wake up each morning, remind yourself of the privilege of being alive, breathing, thinking, and loving. When you approach each day from this perspective, anger loses its power over you. Love, in this sense, is not romantic or dependent love, but a deep understanding and compassion for humanity. Everyone acts according to their own understanding and circumstances. So, when someone offends you, instead of reacting with anger, ask yourself, does this person truly know what they are doing? Often, the answer is no. By letting go of personal offense, you realize that it's not possible to be angry and grateful at the same time. If you practice gratitude consciously, your mind will stop searching for things to be upset about. For example, When someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of cursing, be grateful that you have a vehicle and the opportunity to drive. If someone speaks ill of you, be thankful that you have the chance to show who you truly are through your actions. The key is in choosing how to interpret every situation. While you can't control the outside world, you can control the meaning you give to it. Gratitude transforms problems into lessons, and love transforms frustration into patience. If you adopt this mindset, anger will have no place in your life. Furthermore, we often fall into the trap of labeling things as either good or bad. Society teaches us to divide the world into categories like just and unjust, noble and vile, right and wrong. But this binary view of the world is simplistic and ultimately frustrating. The Stoics understood a profound truth. No one is entirely good or entirely bad. Every person acts according to their own perceptions, experiences, and limitations. When someone betrays you, lies to you, or treats you poorly, it's not because they are inherently bad. In their mind, they are justifying their actions, perhaps driven by fear, ignorance, or internal struggles. Labeling them as bad only breeds resentment and solves nothing. As Epictetus stated clearly, it's not the person who harms you, but the judgment you place on their actions that causes pain. You are not angry because of what happens to you, but because of the story you tell yourself about it. For example, if someone insults you on the street and you label them as a fool, anger will flood your mind. But if you instead think, maybe this person is having a tough day, you free yourself from the burden of anger. True power lies in accepting reality as it is, without dividing it into extremes. Don't expect the world to behave according to your expectations. People act based on their own reasons, not yours. When you understand this, you stop suffering from their actions. You won't get angry because you realize that everyone, in their own way, is doing the best they can with the tools they have. If you've made it this far, you have not only learned how to free yourself from anger, but have also taken a significant step toward a calmer, more powerful life. The key is in changing your perspective and not allowing external circumstances to control your inner peace. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you found it helpful, please give it a like and share it with your friends and family. Everyone deserves to live a more peaceful life. Be sure to subscribe for more content on Stoicism and personal growth. And remember, take action now by writing in the comments, "I will never get angry about anything or anyone." This simple but powerful act is the first step toward transformation, and it marks the moment when you commit to a new way of being. I invite you to watch the next video where you will discover another Stoic teaching that can transform your life. See you there.